we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Topics.
And we're live. They're in the chat. Just scroll up a little bit. I guess it just got buried.
Yeah, I got it.
What should we talk about?
Oh, well, I have some amazing news from NBC Politics. This just in. President Biden called off an airstrike against Syria, against a second target in Syria last week after a woman and children were spotted in the area, a senior admin official tells NBC News.
That's delightful. So where'd they bomb instead?
Yeah.
So what target did he divert to after that?
Right?
Exactly. Or they just straight up gave the missiles to Israel and told them to have fun with it.
That's the kinder, gentler, progressive machine gun hand.
Next,
It's
FDR.
intersection of fascism. Just like Grandma marched for.
Oh, hey, Mark, you're early tonight.
Holy crap!
5 minutes, 6 minutes early.
Whoa.
To be perfectly honest, you're like an hour and 6 minutes early.
Yeah, because
said
you're
you'd
5
be
minutes
15.
an hour.
This is like a record for you, Mark. Good job.
Hour, 2 hours.
Hey, I'm here. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we were just talking about how, heartwarming story about Biden called off a second airstrike in Syria after seeing a woman and children in the area. A senior official in the Biden administration told NBC News. So, we were just speculating where that attack was diverted to.
Okay. Are we live already, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh man, somebody has reverb, echo. I don't know where that came from.
Echo.
Is somebody
Okay,
smoking?
let me make it.
That was weird. I don't know. Might have been on my end.
I have to make a post about this stuff.
Yeah, so QAnon is I guess the after traces are not going away. I guess majoring green. Yeah, exactly. I thought if they kill the accounts on the major social media sites, they're still around. I guess the fucking Major Green was calling Q a cult, which she was in that whole shit, and now the National Guard is there in full force in the Capitol because of QAnon threats.
Yeah. I mean, again, I just thought it would be all over after Trump was out of office because how are you going to continue that? What the fuck? I mean, your great messiah is now gone.
But he will return. See, that's the beauty of Q
No,
and
he's
hopium is that
working
there's
through
always the hope.
Biden. That's
Well,
what
yeah.
they're saying now, is that he's working through Biden. It's the big 18D chess, and then he'll reemerge again in 2024.
Yeah, I don't understand how like you would ever believe that, and I guess I really underestimate people's stupidity, because I don't know how somebody would believe Trump's working through Biden. I mean, in public reality, guys, QAnons, or wait, what did I used to call you? I don't fucking remember. Anyway,
Villainous?
no. I used to have a good name, but I can't remember what it was. Anyway, I mean, it's just stupid. I mean, Trump like criticized Biden constantly, and like the two fought back and forth. I mean, you really think that Trump is going to be controlling Biden? Like, what the fuck? And if he was, that means that Trump just bombed Syria.
Well, they need Q to keep the rest of the Republicans from sacking the U.S. Capitol. I mean, that's why the barriers and all those, guys are there to protect them. 'Cause it's such a legitimate government, that we have to do this now.
Yeah, I don't know. This the Q cult just reminds me of like how like retarded people can get. It's like people followed, like, was it John, the guy, was it Heaven's Gate? They followed him into the bitter end. They all fucking drank the Kool-Aid, and Jim Jones and shit like that. I don't know. Like I guess there's a high percentage of people that are prone to weird brainwashing, but like some of the shit they were saying, like there are several things over the periods, like lots of things over the past couple of years that never manifested into anything.
Right.
Yeah, but they mixed it with like the real stuff. They mix it with fake stuff, right? And it's kind of like we discussed it before, that the mainstream media does the same thing actually, right? You can trust them on like what like local emergency there is. If there's like a car accident, they give like legitimate information, right? They tell you exactly where the car accident was. But then when they start talking about politics, whatever, CNN or something, it's completely biased and propaganda, right? So when it's like what Q also does, they're mixing real stuff with fake stuff.
Well, they also mixed it in with they believed all the elites were involved in pedophilia, and they all worshiped the devil. And then I was just like, okay, like, I don't like. Remember, yeah, this one guy actually thought that the head guy from CNN ate babies. Like, I'm like,
right.
Do you have proof that he doesn't?
No, I don't. But come on, I mean, it's so out there. I mean, it's like,
I mean, yeah, okay. So let me just like jump in there for that, and just say that they mix truth with misinformation, and I'm not saying every elitist is involved in sex trafficking of children or cultish activity, but there are some. But that doesn't mean what they said is factually accurate. I mean, they used real information and spun it. For example, and I know this because they quoted one of my articles, and that's probably why I got taken down from Medium. When I was discussing about the Owl of Minerva and how the owl is all throughout elites, elitist kind of like culture. Like they have that owl all over the place, and it's the owl of Minerva or Lilith.
yeah.
So I mean, I was discussing that, and they quoted it, but they would spin it then, saying essentially, this is proof about elitist sacrifices, and where Lilith is seen as the child thief. That's true, but that's not direct evidence, and that's not the way I was even painting it either. But I was just saying that this is proof of cultish activity. They do have that owl all over the place, various different elite societies, not just Bohemian Club and stuff like that. And the other thing about the Bohemian Grove or whatever, that's not a giant owl. It's the fuck is that? It's
It definitely looks like an owl.
It definitely
Moloch.
looks like an owl.
No, it is an
No,
owl.
it's an
not
owl. When you look at their own books, and when you could actually get
Yeah,
their,
the spiders
their
don't
minutes,
ever
It's not
Yes,
Moloch.
yeah.
No, that's what I meant.
it's
actual,
referred to in their own books going back to the 1800s as the owl.
Well,
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Moloch
but-
is actually a bull god, right?
It's not Moloch. Alex
Yeah,
Jones.
no, it's not Moloch. Yes,
No,
yes, yes.
even the Bohemian, not what is it? The original Illuminati, from what Adam Weishaupt used the Bavarian owl as the main logo. I don't understand how people affiliate it with the Eye of Horus or Providence, whatever. But the owl was supposed to symbolize
They
wisdom.
used Eye of Providence.
Minerva is the goddess of wisdom, and it's the same goddess Athena.
Yeah, right. But that's the thing, though. They twist things, and what I was going to say is that they twisted the Franklin, the Franklin cover up, and they kind of said, "Oh, well, this is proof that all the elitists are into all this sick shit." Where it's not. That's not what that means. It means that essentially that there was a group of elitists that were involved in sick shit. Not all elitist, a group of elitist. That's the important thing to differentiate there. And they would twist things about the Franklinville cover-up, and it just pissed me off because that's legitimate evidence of cold activity and child sex trafficking. Like, if you want anything, that's it, right? That's proof that there was child sex trafficking and coldish activity throughout history, right there. But they twist things and they misrepresent them. So because of the way they did that, right? Now the Franklin cover up and all of that, it just looks fucking. It's a cute conspiracy, right? The actual facts of the case are now forgotten. So it did more damage than it fucking did any type of good. And I mean that's obvious, but it just pisses me off because they took real information and spun it. And created like this whole web of disinformation, and if that was done by
Design, you think?
No, I can't remember his fucking name. The guy who ran 8chan and his son, I can't remember him.
Ron and Jim Watkins.
Thank you. Yeah, it was done by them, and they were friends with Thomas, right? Which I'm pretty sure they are.
Oh, Schrodinger's.
Okay. Yeah, well, he's from what I know, he was friends with Michael Aquino, and there's a live stream out there of him interviewing Michael Aquino. But anyway, like the fact is, since they ran that, right, and they were friends with Thomas and all of them. It just looks like a fucking psyop to distract from the actual events that happen in history.
It is a psyop in part because it pacifies a swath of people on the right that could be activated otherwise. Like, imagine people who support and follow QAnon. Imagine if Op Warp Speed or attempted regime change in Iran and Syria and Venezuela happened with Hillary Clinton. Like, it wouldn't happen, but because it was Trump, because they had Q going around saying, "Oh, follow the white rabbit, trust the plan." Nah, this is Trump playing some 28D chess here. Because of all that shit, then you have all these people that would otherwise be activated completely pacified. And then it works the other way too, because now those issues that get lumped in with QAnon, like sex trafficking and issues with vaccines, now if you go on those topics and present something that's minorly adversarial to the official narrative, then you get lumped in with QAnon, therefore manufacturing consent for your eventual censorship.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly the problem too. I mean, but in my opinion, the biggest thing that they did is that they created a web of disinformation mixed in with real information, and it doesn't only cause confusion, right? It completely disenfranchises legitimate information, and because of the topics that were used, it just seems like the whole thing from when I believe, at least, I know I've been told not to say this anymore, but I don't really give a fuck. When Ezra started Q and handed it off to 0 Hour One and all of them, that was the beginning of the psyop. He was a psyops officer, so I'm pretty sure that was him that did it. His name was thrown around for no apparent reason. So, and he was a psyops officer, so I believe that he was the one behind it, and at least starting out, because there was legitimate leaks that came out of it. So it was seeded as a legitimate operation because all of a sudden Q was calling out Saudi arrests that were happening prior to them happening, and without any type of clearance, level of clearance, you would not know that was about to go down, right? So somebody leaked that. I don't know exactly who or why or any of that, but it was just seeded as a legitimate operation, right? And then handed off to 0 Hour One, Microchip, and all those people, right? And then they gave up on it, and then it was basically reincarnated over on 8chan under Jim Watkins and his son and whoever the hell else ran it. I don't know. But it's just very interesting to see that there's, from my point of view, that there's a PSYOPs officer who, in my opinion, created this. And then there's other intelligence people surrounding QAnon, and with the reincarnation on 8chan. So it just seems to me like the whole thing was a planned military operation, and in some sense, I think personally that it was a planned military operation to disenfranchise legitimate information on sex trafficking from our past, like the Franklinville cover-up, and stories like that, because it's just so surreal that they used those topics and twisted them to the point where there was real information and disinformation mixed in.
Well, it initially drew eyes and heat off of everyone in Epstein's sphere. And then when Epstein got arrested, that got to be all about him, and he was the bad guy. And there were a couple of threads that you could follow that were like just concluded the Epstein story, and it took the focus off of the very real child rape trafficking network that exists all throughout the world. It doesn't exist for one specific political party or one specific ideology. There are people in power that leverage that power by the exploitation of children and blackmail and a bunch of other shit. And there's not politics attached to that. And that's one of the things that Q did that was so just obviously garbage, was they tried to make child rape trafficking that happens all over the world a phenomenon that only exists inside of the Democratic Party and only from like a certain amount of years going forward. And that's ridiculous.
Are there any Democrats and leftists that believe in Q like the right wingers do?
I don't know.
I have seen people go from I know actually I know a number of people personally that went kind of on a journey after Bernie Sanders got cheated in 2016, where they went from Bernie Sanders supporter to Donald Trump voter to QAnon true believer, and in the last like 4 to 6 months they've been coming back into reality a little bit, significant.
I mean, here's the thing: like you have these rigged primaries against various candidates, and rigged. Not going to say it because we're not allowed to because of YouTube, but you get it. So I mean, people lose sense of their reality when they see that shit, because it's all like, oh, well, no, that rigging isn't real. And then you see it, and, you lose track of your reality and you start digging for answers. And the only answer there is, well, Q.
Opium. We all need a big dose of hopium, because when your population is full of shit, that's what you need. That's what you want to hear.
Exactly. No, yeah, you hit it right there on the nail, man. Like, it's just you're searching for hopium or hope because you now lost any type of sense of reality. Yeah, because your reality is like kind of smashed, right? Like after the first election. With Bernie Sanders, and how the DNC cheated him and installed their candidate, right? I lost all hope of any type of political system. I was just like, this is so blatant. It's just ridiculous. Before that, I'll say this though. Before that, I already lost hope in the political system. I was just kind of on a string of hope, right? Of, okay, well, I like Bernie. I'll try and push for Bernie. And I did. And kind of everything fell apart. And after that happened, and you saw the corruption within the DNC, and then there was no type of response from the federal government or FBI authorities, anybody, right? You also lose hope in the justice system because, I was digging into the whole case of the DNC, and I was digging into the case against Hillary Clinton and her emails and everything. And then you start seeing these connections, and you see that Loretta Lynch and James Comey and Cheryl Mills all work together at a law firm. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I'll find it. But they all work together at a law firm prior, and then they're all involved in the email case. And it's just a big, giant fucking joke. It's like these elitists, they protect each other when they're in criminal trouble. And they just close a case, whatever. It's so blatant in our faces, it's disgusting.
Now, that shouldn't, fracture your reality. What people should see from that is how full of shit it is and how corrupt it is. They shouldn't lose their bearing of what, truth and fake actually are. But they really seem to, because what they want to hear is Q tell them a bunch of happy shit about how we're going to, we're one court case away, another month, and keep pushing. And, there's cloak and dagger guys behind the scenes and the elite military, and all this crap. I mean, come on, man. How long does it take?
I'll just say
and yet
that.
those are Yeah, you look at these videos, and it's like they're still the highest, some of the highest trending videos in all these, counts. It's like, come on, man, pull your head out of your ass.
There was a legitimate insider military attempt to go after the Clinton administration, and a plane crashed with a whole bunch of generals and other people, other high-level officials on it that were heading to the White House to arrest Bill Clinton for the Chinagate scandal in the 1990s. So, and that's another thing. They point to that and say, well, see, they did it back then, and then they say, oh, well, it's going on now. And it's like, all right, but the information that's been put out about this has constantly been wrong. Everybody wants hopium, and it's like, yeah, I want hope too, but I mean, this isn't it.
Well, see, this is because people are so cowardly and pathetic. You have to keep looping back to hopium because you're not going to stand up and do anything about it because you're just a bunch of cowards. That's the problem. That's why you got to keep listening to SGT Report, X-22, and all the rest of this crap out there. Charlie Ward, Robert Davis Steele, all these ex-CIA people. Pull your head out of your ass. Can't you figure out what's going on? Stand up and have a backbone. But no, you want to go watch a hopium video. It's so pathetic.
Yeah, and it's really disgusting what X-22 Report became. I mean, it used to be decent for getting news, and it became just a full-on Q grift. And on top of that, I mean, like, all of these people surrounding it is just pathetic. At this point, I was hoping that they would have destroyed their careers. And any type
Majorie.
Like who?
Like Majorie Green.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But
oh my God! So Marjorie Taylor Greene has an opponent for that seat.
Y'all. Yeah, war veteran. Yeah.
Did you see that guy? Did you see the commercial that dude released?
Doorstep of communism.
On the doorstep of communism in 2007.
What?
Lots. So the guy straight up in his campaign commercial tells you. So first of all, he's out there in a suit with a cowboy hat. Right. And he tells you. And he's running as a Democrat, right? So he's a Democrat in a press shirt and a cowboy hat. Yeah. And he tells you right off the bat, because he's standing in a fucking transport carrier. My first deployment was at an intelligence listening post on the doorstep of communism. And he looks like he's maybe 40 at the most. Maybe. There was no communism for this guy at his first deployment. There was none. He was not on the doorstep of communism. He is like soft pedal Russiagating there, though, which is adorable because it lets you know where the Democrats' fucking minds are. Like they're still trying to peddle an evidence-free conspiracy. And it gets better, too, because it's all just this dude and his military service and how... And how that's going to help because he knows disinformation when he sees it.
Yeah. He knows the extent of propaganda, Steve.
It is a, like, there might as well be a neon sign flashing in the background that says CIA Democrat, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is just, like... She's allowed to say some dumb shit on Facebook in 2018. She is. I mean, maybe she shouldn't hold the committee position for that. Maybe. I don't think so. I thought that was a little harsh. I thought the treatment that she got from the fucking snake pit in Congress was way over the top. But this is what they're going to do for distraction tactics now. They're literally going to eat each other, on the floor of the House because they can't govern. They can't govern because they're a branch office of the World Economic Forum. It's not like they're exactly making their own decisions. So they got to put on a show. Huh?
What was that?
I missed that last part.
Oh, that was me accidentally playing the ad for Marcus Flowers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that shit's funny.
I was wondering what that was. What the fuck was that? I heard a voice and I was like, "What? Who was that?"
That's Marcus Flowers.
Yeah, that was Marcus Flowers. His cowboy hat.
Modern day superhero.
The fucking plane in the background and everything.
I know, I see it. Oh my god.
He defends the United States and promises to bring honor, integrity, and decency to Congress.
Ooh. Never heard that before. Wow.
Is that what they all promise? But yeah, never really happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I've seen some of her posts. Her posts were pretty insane type stuff. I mean, but this guy, oh boy. I don't know who I would rather have more.
Well, they just talk a lot. That's it. And you can pretty much say anything, right? Until you get to power and you just sell out again.
Yeah. I think we pretty much beat the Q topic to death. So why don't we discuss the Gab hack and Mr. Andrew Torb?
That's to do with it, I guess.
AK.
No, it has a little bit to do with it. And but Q, it's actually pretty ironic that the Q movement became such like a SEAL movement, like stopping actual revolution. But the actual book Q is a manual for a revolution. Luther Blissett Q book. And it is pretty interesting content, to be honest. That's what they based most of their stuff on. But,
Let me just ask, in that book, do they attack the Capitol?
well, it is pretty much, okay, so basically it is pretty much about one guy being present at all the revolutionary wars in Europe. And he's anonymous. And his main enemy is this guy named Q. Actually, Kohelet is what it says, and that means the preacher or the prophet. And he's an agent for the Vatican. So that's pretty much it. And the Vatican, but they do attack the Capitol. It has to do with they're giving it a different name. I forgot now. But they do mention that the bankers are behind everything, and they they have a specific name in that book. I forgot. Maybe someone in the chat knows it, but yeah.
Wow, that's like blueprint.
Yeah, the agent for the Vatican and that part, yeah. But the Q, right? That means the preacher or the prophet. Kohelet is what's he called? Full name. But in the entire book, they try to unmask each other, and they pretty much wage war against each other. And it's actually two anonymous figures doing that.
Yeah, so under the guise that they're, Q is this smart, benevolent, super high security clearance guy, he has credibility. That's why you pick the capital letter Q.
Yeah, you can say like the nuclear clearance level in the USA, but it is specifically done because of that book, I think, because most of it has to do with that book. Also, that he has the role of a prophet, predicting all these things that will happen.
Well, years ago, Q clearance was there was a whistleblower with Q clearance. I don't specifically remember what he revealed, but there was a whistleblower who claimed to have Q clearance years ago. I just remember that. So when I first saw this whole Q thing, before I even started digging into it, I saw that it had some factual stuff, and then some misinformation as well. So, I mean, again, it's them mixing fact with fiction. And, off the Q topic, though, Gab hack, man, Gab was completely hacked. All the users were dumped. All the emails, everything, hackers got everything. And it's going to be released on DDoS Secrets. And there's some journalists that have been getting
that's shady.
Getting some tips on Gab. It's called the Gab leaks. And apparently there's a lot of messages similar to Parler that were on there. A lot of QAnon stuff. Anything else you want to add there, Tyler?
Tyler's not here.
Does he has a Gab account? I'm shocked.
I don't know. He's not responding.
Tyler.
No. All right. So Andrew Torba transphobic post. Anybody know anything about that?
Nah, nothing like that.
No.
Mark?
The Torba situation? You want to talk about that?
No, Andrew Torba. He posted a transphobic post. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, well then let's jump into that because that's the topic we have there.
Yeah, I know. Well, Gab got hacked. Yeah, and so Gab got hacked, and then we already said it would happen a few days before it happened, right? And they would release it on DDoS Secrets, and so they hacked it, Gab, and they exposed 70 gigabytes of files, pretty much all the passwords and everything of all the users. And then Torba made this post about it, saying transgender demon hackers hacked Gab. Demonic transsexual hackers hacked Gab, is what he said.
Demonic transsexual hackers.
Yeah.
He's creative.
Yeah.
Trying to mix that
Mentally ill tranny demon hackers, I'm very serious, are attacking Gab right now.
Yeah,
the same people behind this attack targeted law enforcement officers and their family members last summer. The feds are treating them as a criminal hacker organization. We're working with our partners in law enforcement on this issue. That was the statement.
Game
Yeah,
mafia.
there's another half of that too. We have always been transparent with this community when things happen, so I am being very honest and upfront with you all now. My account and Trump's account were compromised. Of course, as Trump is about to go on stage and speak, the entire company is all hands investigating what happened and working to trace and patch the problem. As we learn more, I will keep you posted.
Happy fingers. All hands on deck. All hands on the keyboard.
Yeah, so I'm not too happy about Gab being destroyed like that. I know it was filled with all these bullshit artists and racists a lot and whatever. But yeah, they pretty much allowed everyone on there on that platform.
And Jared Beck.
Yeah,
I don't know. I wish people. I wish we would just confront these people in public, right, and debate with them instead of censoring them all the time. We would just call them out on their stuff. Actually, debate them, make them visible to the world, and actually just. I mean, since when did we become so weak that we can't give our own opinions and give our own facts anymore? That we're somehow incapable of doing that.
Well, I mean, years ago. years ago, we would just expose these people, and yeah, they would get hacked. Yeah, but you wouldn't ever go after a full social media site or anything like that. I mean, things have changed. Like,
And you can't just say that the entire platform has only these people on. That's not fair to say either. This 70 gigabytes in it has like a lot of normal users on it too.
yeah, right. But because they're using Gab, they get lumped in with that far right, you know, and that's the same way that all these agencies, organizations like the SPLC and stuff like that are treating this. They're saying that that the far right site Gab got hacked and revealed far right users, 70 gigabytes, blah blah blah. But I mean, honestly, I don't know why they would even try to release it on DDoS secrets. I mean, that's like culpability. I mean,
What's a super activist you got nowadays? I mean, it's more of a mafia than anything else.
well, you know, I'm not. I'm not against publishing information, but I'm against publishing private information. I mean, if you're publishing information that is in interest of the public, okay. But if you're publishing information and that's going to include everybody's private details, that's an issue. You know, that's no different than Carter's fucking taking somebody's credit card information and publishing the credit card information online and selling it. You know, like, if you're going to publish this information, I mean, people are going to make, or bad people are going to make databases of some of these email addresses and passwords, and they're just going to try exploiting some of these users. You know, it's just a situation that you're putting people into a bad situation by doing this. And, you know, some of them might fucking deserve it, right? Okay. But not everybody on there deserves that, you know?
No, they don't. It's like lots and lots of innocent users on there. They're all like have their info exposed and whatever. What happens even to these people now?
Well, but you've had a political party that's pushed by any means necessary for so long. I mean, you know, well, why stop now? I mean, what's the problem? I mean, you get to censor everybody and label them and hack them and do all these things. I mean, isn't that what you wanted?
I mean, years ago, the KKK and actual real KKK members would get hacked. It's not a surprise. You know, like Anonymous has done that for years. But just going after social media sites and going after kind of like media sites or stuff like that, I mean, it's just it's against what Annan originally was. Before, Annan would never go after any type of media. You know, that was in the ethos of Annan. I mean, basically, don't target media and don't target social media directly. And you know, that kind of disappeared.
Well, I mean, I'd be confused too. I thought that was the idea of what we were doing here, was push certain people out and have things our way and control the narrative.
Wonder what we'll have left like 5 years from now.
Well, now I was going to point out something before. Here's what I think you missed with Q being the opium for the right wingers. I think what people on the other side forget is that you have a whole mainstream media that propagandizes you 24 365, and you don't seem to see it. As long as it's playing to the needs and so forth of that side, it's okay, and everybody believes that hopium all day long. See, that becomes the truth somehow. And then Q's funny, and actually it's all funny. It's all propaganda. And you're all being deceived. And yet we point at Q and laugh at Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever. Joke's on everybody, man. You've been had.
Well, I mean, even without Q, the mainstream media, there's always been propaganda on the left and propaganda on the right. I mean, you just choose your flavor.
Of course, it's the exact same thing. And like, it's just the mainstream pushes both sides. I mean, they're allowed to coexist. And it's like the Noam Chomsky said, like within like the left and the right, they have this band wide where you're allowed to like full debate and attack each other and call each other like whatever. But if you move outside of that, you become like a crazy or a criminal. And so that is pretty much what it is. They're allowed to attack each other, but you always keep them in the same band wide. And yeah, they push the narrative still. Okay. It is funny, like I saw now on social media. I see this. This is, I think, a good example because you have the AOC group, AOC and Biden and everyone always pushing that story that Russia hacked the U.S. elections and stuff. And then now you see on the other side, you see people pushing the story that the USA attacks Russia, uses like Intel programs to attack Russia, right? Now, the thing is, Russia and the USA, when they sit together at Davos, and they just built the largest gas pipeline ever to Europe, and another one of the largest gas pipelines ever to Turkey, which is also a NATO partner. They're like so deeply, this is about so many billions, this is about thousands of billions in gas money, literally. And their ties are so strong now between the West and with Russia. Whatever you say about them, it's complete bullshit. I can tell you that, because these ties are so strong now, these economic ties, they're going to be forever. There's no other way anymore. So you have on one side, you have AOC, Biden, whatever, pushing this red scare. The other side is also pushing the red scare in the sense that they are pushing that the Americans are fighting with the Russians, that the West is attacking Russia. So these people are pushing a fake war narrative for some reason. And I said it before, but in reality, the economic ties are being strengthened and they're being very strong now. And to such a level that they removed our open and free internet in return for that gas pipeline. And that's why we lost the ACTA II fight. Because Germany sold us out. Germany was against ACTA II, restricting our internet, until the European Union allowed them to put that gas pipeline in. And they then suddenly voted in favor of ACTA II, because they were allowed to have that huge gas pipeline. So they pretty much chose an economic agreement with Russia over the freedoms of their own citizens. Right? So that's just a perspective you can have. Is the mainstream and even the so-called dissidents against the mainstream are pushing a similar narrative, the same story. They're running with the same story. Like the mainstream pushes like these people are doing it, the other people are pushing like no, it's the other side doing it. In reality, they're working together. They sit at Davos planning a whole new Great Reset. They're already way ahead of us. Again, in some parts they are fighting with each other, probably, but in reality, at the same time, they're also sitting at Davos planning like this whole Great Reset thing and building everything together. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, and you got the new slogan, "Build Back Better." We destroyed you for no reason, but now we're going to build you back better. Oh, well, hey, that's what good guys do, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're way ahead. They're way ahead of a bunch of the general population who wants to sit around and not do anything. Despite what they see happening in front of them, they just, their rights, whether they're supposed charter rights under some monarchy or, the Constitution, it's just not worth it anymore.
For some reason, their propaganda has been so strong that they have been able to make us believe that every country, except for their own country, will choose killing people over getting thousands of billions in economic advantages. And that is what, like, there is so much. They made people so scared of other countries for some reason that they believe all that stuff. Like, it is, to me, pretty surprising. Yeah. Like, I mean, like, okay, so I just gave that Russia example. Give it again. That you can make Americans believe that these Russians will choose fighting against America over building huge gas pipelines towards Europe with the huge economic advantages, and then still that whole war story makes more sense to them. Well, we can see in front of us that the pipelines are being built. Like, I have to travel 100 miles, and I can see them building that pipeline. Right, and it's the largest economic project in history. So yeah, that does make sense to me.
Yeah, they all get along behind the scenes.
Yeah, they get along behind the scenes. That's what I mean. They make us believe they don't, and there is a reason behind that, and that is, like, I think that justifies more surveillance, more military buildup, proxy wars, and all these things.
Well, I don't think I really don't think they're getting along with China. I don't see that. I haven't.
No. But China it will be eventually a threat to Russia too. Russia is part of the European community. So,
Yeah, but Russia is double dipping because they're also a part of BRICS. See?
yeah, they are.
So I mean, it's just a clusterfuck. I mean, the whole Chinese situation, though, I don't know, man. It feels like any day something could break out there where it would be fucking war.
I think with imperial countries such as the USA or such as Russia, you have to look at it in layers, like different sectors. Like, part of the sectors can be fighting with each other. They're still together in Davos. They're still together in Interpol, right, the International Police Organization, where they're both taking part with 96 countries, and they share information about cyber criminals or criminal organizations who move around the world. They work together on that. So they share a lot of intelligence, which includes wiretapping, which includes internet tapping, that they share directly with each other. And there's other things too. They have once a year they have a meeting with here in my country. Once a year, the Russian intelligence has a meeting here with Dutch intelligence, and there's always one FBI agent present too.
Huh.
And that happened since 2004.
You saw a similar thing like that in before the Vietnam War. I want to say one of our high, like Secretary of Defense met with the North Vietnamese, an intelligence guy or a general in Bangkok. Early on, right before. It's like there's always these meetings. Like, hey, it's like, hey, here's what's coming on. Get ready. Behind, like you say, behind the scenes, they let themselves know. Which just indicates how all these governments, for control reasons, are using all this for control of the population. That's what they can all agree on, is that we have to have this bullshit going on, chaos, to keep all the plebes in line and keep them scared. And
yeah, it's a massive psychological operation against their own populations. And yeah, it justifies a lot of things, right? I mean, the surveillance things, and they're constantly saying, yeah, we have a risk of terrorism, or we have a risk of a foreign government doing this or that, so we have to increase surveillance on you guys, and we have to restrict the rules, or restrict your freedoms, right? In the end, they will say like, you're no longer allowed to have protests on the street because we have indications that a foreign government is organizing these. And so that's what they're going to do, and they're going to take it further and further. They're going to say, "Oh yeah, we have indications the Chinese are influencing our country. They are creating protests against us to destabilize our country." Or they're going to say the Russians are doing it, and then they're going to ban protests entirely. And at the exact same time, the Russians are doing it in their country, and saying the Americans are creating protests. In that case, for example, Navalny or whatever, they say like the Americans are creating this. So we have to restrict the protests. And at this moment, already the right to free protest is removed in Russia from law. There's no longer a right for freedom of assembly, even though they signed it with the European Human Rights Council in their law that you have the right to protest. They removed it last election when Putin came to power. They removed the right to protest from their law. So now the government has to allow every protest. They have to ask permission from them to have it. But the Americans will do the same. They will say the Russians are instigating something. You're no longer allowed to protest because we have indications that the foreign government is behind these protests.
Well, they jammed up a president for 3 years on a similar story. You know, it's complete horseshit. So it works. You know.
And of course, they're fighting each other too about like what area belongs to them or not.
Trump wasn't jammed up. Trump got to pass the 3 largest upward transfers of wealth in recorded human history. He got to continue the drone program unabated. He got to launch several, to varying degrees of success, coups in over a half dozen countries. He got to fucking tinker around with oh god, what is it? The fucking the martial law thing. We got to oversee the period of relative calm before the technocratic panopticon. Donald Trump had to happen. He was inevitable. Hillary Clinton would have not been able to control the country under COVID. People would have reacted to lockdowns mandated by Hillary Clinton far worse than they reacted to lockdowns with Donald Trump going, I'm not sure if I want to do this or not, but we'll give you some convenient people to hate, and I'll just act like I had nothing to do with it.
Well, because
that had to happen.
Well, I mean, if Hillary Clinton was the president and issued lockdowns, I mean, there'd be a good majority of the population that would think that the whole
rightfully so
FEMA camp situation was about to play out.
Well, you know, Donald Trump was what I call him. He was the perfect Judas goat for Republicans. That's really what he was. He was the placeholder and the guy, you know, make a messiah figure out of him that these idiots could follow and believe in as he leads you off the cliff. And that's what they needed. You needed a stuffed shirt and an empty suit, man. New York style. That's what you needed.
Well, he served his purpose.
Yeah, the idiot in chief. Yeah.
And now you got Biden. You know, that's the Democrat version of Donald Trump, you know. He didn't know what the hell he's doing. They issued 25th Amendment. If anybody should get 25th Amendment, it'd be Joe Biden right now. But no. He's the perfect guy needed for whatever needs to get pushed on that side. It's all good. Because he's our guy, right? I mean, he's so different than Donald Trump. I mean, you know, this is just going to be so different. You know?
Yeah, he's. That's what I mean. It doesn't matter really who's up there. Is it the same problems happen? You know, it doesn't really matter. It's like it doesn't matter. I mean, even if we put like a dog up there, it'd be, you know, the same thing.
Have long-term plans, right? Plans that maybe like last 20 or 30 or 50 years. They have a whole set plan for their future, and these presidents just come around and do their little part of that plan. Like they make long-term plans. These people, they have entire strategies for a country to like do certain things for the rest of the world. Now we have that whole great reset thing, and we have the climate plans too, and we have what was it? Sustainable planet things like what is the Earth UN Earth Summit and stuff.
Did I tell you what happened? I put it in the notes. I don't know if you guys covered it. The in Antarctica, like this week, or was it last week? There was a ice the ice sheet in these in kind of an unexplored really area of Antarctica. I forget what they call it. It's like 10 times the size of Manhattan, and it broke off. It's a pretty big hunk of
Antarctica.
ice. Yeah. Go ahead.
So basically, we're all fucked.
That's free ice cubes for everybody. You know, every ship that goes by can get free ice cubes off that iceberg.
Okay, well, the South Pole is always a risk if there is like ice melting, right? North Pole is less risk, but there is the South Pole has land beneath it. Like with the North Pole, it's like an ice cube laying like in a glass of water. It does actually increase the water level when it melts. With the South Pole, it's different, right? It's like
It's a whole continent, yeah.
Well, we need to tie this into the global climate hoax, though. I mean, we need to give Al Gore a bunch of taxes because he can solve this ice breaking problem.
With money,
You know,
right?
it won't happen next summer. We can't have this. You know.
You
Some
know,
politician, shitbag politician, needs to solve this problem for it.
well,
You know they can do it.
the auto industry has kind of been proactive, believe it or not. I heard, was it GM or was it Ford? They were planning on, I think it was GM. They were planning on getting rid of all fuel injected cars and going completely electric.
Yeah, I
In
mean,
10 years.
they're all going to follow that because it's being mandated in Europe. They have until I believe
2034 or
it.
something like that.
No, I believe it's 2025. I'm pretty sure it's 2025.
Yeah, over where I live, they already have the hydrogen fueling stations. You know, I mean that's like
Hydrogen. Oh man,
yeah, they do for real. Yeah,
what
I've seen.
what could possibly go wrong? Yeah.
Well, no, believe it. Well, I mean, it's essentially electric, but there's problems with these alternative energies, and like it works where I live. But if you live in sub-zero temperatures, these alternative energy cars like have real problems, like real engineering problems. You know, especially with you're dealing with electric. Electricity tends not to work when in sub-zero temperatures very well.
Well, that'd be great news here for Texas. We can't even keep the fucking grid going, and now we got to go electric. I mean, you know, who comes up with these genius plans, man? So, you know, let's just tag the grid that much harder. But you know, we can't even support what we got. But that's clean, that's green, that's where we need to go because it's smart. You know, no coal. We're not gonna have any power plants. We can't have any natural gas. We can't. You know, get to the point where even natural gas is not clean enough. So you know, fuck it all, man. You know.
I mean, hydrogen is the, probably the safest solution, but they really need to. I mean, or at one point, I was reading like these old popular mechanics books from like the '60s, and they had real plans of, like making nuclear powered cars. Like that would have gone bad really quick.
Oh yeah, we're so good at that. Yeah, I was just dumping into the ocean. You know, thank you Japan. You know, for precedent on that one.
Well,
Another genius move.
nuclear energy is rare is pretty safe. It's just that nobody's really been up to the task of building a safe facility. You know.
the calculations said it is actually necessary if you want to have like a
Sustainable energy.
Yeah. Can't do it on unless you put the entire Sahara filled with solar panels, I guess.
They were thinking about doing that too, but then there was like they did these like tests where they thought that it would actually raise the temperature like 10 degrees Celsius, and like that's like if you have that many solar voltaic cells, especially with the shiny surfaces, it's gonna raise the temperature.
So it's actually causing global warming, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You've heard of China's Black Road, the one where they built it had all the solar panels on it.
Oh yeah, and then that increases the temperature too. Then
Yeah.
these idiots.
Well, I don't know. I guess PEMs might be the wave of the future by using gases. They use two different gases. They go over it and it creates electricity. This is not a new concept. I'm surprised it took. I did my college paper like 20 years ago on it, uh, but like I that wasn't even new then. Like it has origin somewhere in the 70s. So we're talking maybe almost 50 years till it becomes an actual feasible technology. That's ridiculous, you know. Oh well.
The I back to the electric cars and whatnot. I written into the 2020 NDAA was a little section about basically the green light for a rare earth mineral war. And I have a feeling that as we go to more sustainable transportation, or quote unquote sustainably fueled transportation and whatnot, that the theater of war will change from the desert to wherever we can extract lithium and rare earth minerals. And I guess I'm hoping that the troops appreciate the change of venue where they have to go to extract minerals out of the ground or resources out of the ground that we need to further fuel the empire.
Yeah, that's the deserts of Chile, isn't it? I mean, that's Elon Musk got a big spot down there.
Yeah, well, I don't believe the war in Afghanistan was a coincidence either, and then the rise of Tesla around the same time, like when the Americans invade Afghanistan, and because there is 3 trillion in lithium in the mountains. I don't think it's a coincidence either.
Yeah.
Except, why do we spend 6 trillion chasing 3 trillion of minerals? It's not an economic. It doesn't make any sense. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Because the point's not to win, and the point's not to necessarily even recoup your investment, because you made your investment to yourself. You paid you $6 trillion and your military contractor friends who, the money doesn't leave the room. People get to skim from it and take some more home, but the big pile of money, that 6 trillion, that's 6 trillion plus 3 trillion, not 3 trillion minus 6 trillion.
Well, that's just, yeah, I need to get my mind wrapped around graft. If I could just do that and be a shitbag politician, I could make a bunch of money, man. I wouldn't have to work or do nothing.
I would rather
lie and bullshit everybody. And
I would rather get my mind around it and bring it to light. But everybody needs a hobby.
Yeah, and what about long-term devaluation of money? I mean, if you're talking about 30 or 40 years plans, will that 6 trillion still be the same value as that 3 trillion worth in lithium? I mean,
that's the way you got to keep stealing. You got to keep it.
If you use that 6 trillion to make more weapons of war, then yeah, because all you're doing is funding the investment on the next round of invasion and extraction. Whatever you pull out of the ground is a fucking bonus on top of what you made for being in on providing all of the hardware and software for the invasion and the defense against the invasion in a lot of cases, and the financing of both of them, of both sides. Also important. You never only fund one side of a war. That's a sucker's game.
Yeah. Well, I think you're completely right. It will be a war for resources, and that will be the future. That countries will fight for resources. It was actually the Club of Rome that wrote, it's like in the 1970s, that to create a world government, there actually has to exist a resource-based economy, because there is no country on the planet that has all the resources to be independent in the modern market. They need to other countries to do it, so they force countries to be dependent on other countries in the world, meaning they have to force in a global government. Because if now you have like the fiat money system, which they like to make much money with themselves, but they don't like it that countries can inflate and deflate their own currency. Like when the world economy like goes down or whatever, countries can adapt to it by like changing the currency values. They can make themselves competitive, like a lower price, for example. If you reduce the value of your currency, products are cheaper to buy in your country, for example. So other countries will quickly buy stuff with you right? The trading becomes better. So you can play around with that as a country. And the Club of Rome, these elites didn't really like that, so they said to them, you make this a resource-based economy and make them all dependent on each other. This is in their writings. It was in the 1970s. They had these meetings. And now you see it really happening, right? After that, you saw production moving to Asia, to China, and production completely removed here. For example, to make the West dependent on the production in China, and you have all these strategies they're doing to make the whole world dependent on each other. Consumer market is now here, production market is in Asia, and you force this dependence on them. China doesn't export natural resources either. Like you can't buy iron or something in China. You can only buy finished products. They don't export any raw materials. I have a friend, and his parents make these classic ships, classic Dutch ships. They make them of teak wood. And that wood that only grows in like rainforests, but in China they grow these trees too, these teak trees, but they don't export it. So what his dad has to do to buy these boats is actually he buys doors and tables and stuff in China, and he actually takes the wood from there for the boat. Saying that's how bad it is. That's nice.
We're gonna jump to the next topic on the list. Where are we?
I don't know.
We're at National Guard called back, or the Antarctica bit.
Yeah, we did that. Did we
Talk
talk
about the Antarctica.
What about
Huh?
Myanmar? You guys talk about that?
We talked about the Antarctica thing yet, though? I missed that bit.
Oh yeah. There was like a piece of the ice shelf. I forget where it's called. It's rare. It's pretty much
The Brunt ice shelf,
yeah. In
20 times the size of Manhattan.
something like that. Yeah. It was huge. That's crazy, because I think the ice sheet over there is like a couple 100 feet just down before, till you get to the water. So this thing is like the size of like a high-rise building. And
It says it's 150 meters thick.
Yeah, that's about right.
So that's
I'll just
400
jump in
feet.
and say I'll just jump in here and say we were all fucked again. Deja vu. That's fucking huge, man. Like,
It's
holy
like
shit.
it's like you should tell everybody, hey, you guys that are living more inland, you guys might have beachfront property soon.
For per the article, or at least the one I'm reading out the RT, it says such calving events are part of the normal life cycle of the polar ice shelves, and there is currently no evidence that climate change played a role, according to researchers from the British Antarctic Survey. I'm just reading the article.
Yeah. So, what about the melting of Antarctica? Is that just part of the cycle?
No, that's been going on. They had a record high temperature last year. It was like 64 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah,
That was
no.
They're going to expose the tunnel to hollow Earth.
Oh, we can go to Middle Earth and talk to the hobbits. Maybe Gandalf is hiding down there too.
Right? Punk ass owes me $12.
I mean, in all seriousness, though, I'm pretty sure there's pyramids there.
I mean, yeah, there is enough evidence. You know, they found. I mean, as far as humans living there, we don't know, but it's kind of theorized that that the ice sheet has been there for over 100,000 years.
It used to be a rainforest, though.
Yes, at some point they found dinosaur bones there, and they found what are known as like fossilized flowers and stuff like that. But that's like ancient. We're talking like 65 million years old. So when it was part of like the whole continent known as Pangea, you know, stuff has moved around since then.
Right.
So we don't.
Now imagine they find pyramids there that date back to the dinosaurs. You know how that would flip history on its like head.
Well, you know the history of life, you know, in the world has, you know, there's been like 2 or 3 major catastrophes where almost everything had died. So there's a lot
of this. It talks about the extinct humans, or where we're at is what, the 6th large mass extinction or global extinction, or is it the 5th?
Jones? I don't know. I think there's been.
Why are you asking me?
Because you're a college student and you're a marine science nerd and you're like one of the smarter people, so I figured you might know.
And you're one of the smarter people. The Crimean pyramids.
Could be right.
Yeah, the Crimea pyramids they date back to the Jurassic period as well. But I think it would be interesting if there is Antarctic pyramids, like I think there are, that if they date back to like the Jurassic period, man, that would flip history on its head.
Well, we already have some things like, you know, what is it? The ones in Bolivia that they think are 12,000 years old, but now we found the Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, which is like kind of threw the historians off, and it was like they think it was made in about 12,000 years ago, which like predates everything that they kind of known about modern societies. So who knows?
Yeah, but you have like these anomaly archaeology get pushed away like from the mainstream, right? Because in the USA you had a discovery. It was in a famous archaeology. This lady, she published in one magazine about she found a temple, and they did 3 different types of testing on it, and they said it was over 230,000 years old in the United States, North America. And she lost her job and everything after that. I will find the article about this and dump it in the chat. But so there is those are like these anomalies, and you can't really explain them. Like they don't fit any narrative there is. But fact is that there are things found which are much older than we think they are, and even the Egyptian Sphinx, for example, that the original had is not the head that was on it, and you have geological traces there that also give it a very different timing on it, and yeah. There's and you have what about these Bosnian pyramids, or you have pyramids in South America, in Guatemala there are pyramids found. fact that these pyramids are even global, that should already surprise people, because why are people around the world who supposedly haven't ever met each other because Columbus or whatever discovered America, all build these pyramids, and they all use mummification, they use similar building styles. Oh yeah, and they use these weird depictions of pharaohs, like they have these halo behind their head and stuff. They use it in South America too.
It almost plays to like the South American version, where they talk about the Viracocha and all that. It's like almost like different aliens were on this planet at one time. The Viracocha were like a shorter version.
Yeah.
Some
These reptile style figures and human-like reptile form figures.
The pyramids out in Cambodia, forget the name of that. It is aligned with a star system. And the alignment, goes back. It's another one of those. It's 20, 30,000 years back. So somebody was here that knew a lot further back than they're saying.
Yeah.
If they already knew all these things.
Yeah, but when you send out archaeologists or history writers with a narrative, and you send them out with that narrative, they're going to search for stuff to fit that narrative. Like the anomalies get thrown away, and there's plenty of anomalies. Not saying that is not actually an anomaly, and it just is in like a place it doesn't belong, and it is actually not so special. But still, these anomalies exist. Yeah, you say of it. That temple. I want to find the article for you guys. So that was over 200,000 years old, 230,000 if I'm correct. And they did test it. They did like nuclear testing on it, and they did other tests on it.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's probably older artifacts throughout history. I mean,
well, that lady was a very famous archaeologist, and she said in an interview, she said literally, "I wish what I had discovered was 20,000 years old, and I would have become great and famous, and I would be so respected. But what I found was too old. It didn't fit the narrative, so my career is over." That's what she literally said.
yeah, there's an archaeology cover-up. Yeah, it's very well.
Did you ever hear about the one about the ancient hammer that they found? It was like 65,000 years old when they were like digging.
Yeah, I've heard about the hammer, the battery, the ancient computer under the ocean. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of artifacts that don't fit within our history. That are just kind of anomalies.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, the whole story of Atlantis. If, let's say Atlantis really did exist, right? And they were so advanced, right? How long would that have actually existed? How many years before they ended up basically destroying themselves?
Don't know.
Good question.
Yeah. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any time period to that story. It's just something that happened over time, but you don't have any references. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody. Every time Atlantis is discussed, which I do personally believe that it's legitimate because of there's been pyramids and the crystalline pyramids that were discovered under the ocean are very interesting, and it was
around Bermuda, right? Bermuda,
off Peru.
Yeah, well, there's some vast mountain ranges within the ocean that exceed what we could ever think of on the surface.
Yeah, but these were pyramids that were crystalline, and I mean, we've never seen anything like it.
I've seen those
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Yeah, you can, but you also can, like, if you talk about something like Atlantis, something could have happened that made them like progress super fast in a super short time. Some discovery by someone. Like you have either they were already super advanced and the rest were just like living in caves and stuff, and they were like a separate civilization and they were super advanced. Or they were like, because they were on an island or whatever, they were just like the rest, but suddenly made like a discovery that made them progress super fast. They didn't share with the rest. They found something else. Or they were visited. We don't know that. Or they were visitors. Well, yeah.
It almost seems like there almost had to be some interventions. I mean, it seems like there were, because the progression of even man seems to have jumps that are hard to explain.
Yeah, I can argue that religions describe these things. All the religions. I'm not even pointing towards like Christianity or something, but you have in the Hindu culture, you have a lot of descriptions of such things. You have the discus of Hari, for example. The god Hari was flying in a discus, and he was setting the entire city in flames from the sky. He was flying around in an aircraft. Literally was described in the religious texts. So yeah, we take it as a myth. It's fine, but yeah. Say this collection of books, and you made it a religion, but it could very well be that some of these texts describes real events.
It seems to be the message that you hear or not to hear, but if you look at these monuments and the way they're always structured to mimic star systems or align, strategically at some point with that star system for some reason. I mean, there's a message there that people I don't think want to accept. First of all, that there was people that were that advanced way back then, and the message is, to look to the stars for the answer. So somebody did those things. Your governments don't want to talk about it. Your archaeologists don't want to talk.
Well, yeah, and there's several archaeological findings that point to the stars as well, including the famous pyramids in Giza. It lines up with Sirius and Orion. So,
It's interesting because the Quran also describes their god as the Lord of Sirius.
That's right. You know that, Mark. What surah that's in?
63.
53, 29.
Yeah, there is actually two descriptions of it, and which is interesting because the last part of these two numbers actually describe the exact orbit of the double star of Sirius. Let me see. Yeah, what is it? 5349. You're right.
49. Okay, yeah. I always thought that was odd.
Yeah, they had some knowledge about that. That is very odd. Yeah. Oh, you have Terrence on. He's okay. Okay.
And they don't want, the other thing, you'd think there'd be a lot of archaeology going on around these sites to figure out what they're all about. And once again, what do you get? Suppressed news, suppressed history, narrative of what's gone on, it's only, back 5,000 years.
It's also 50-53. It's he who is the Lord of Sirius, Quran 50-53 is also in it.
But what I don't get is why Allah is just the Lord of the star Sirius.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a god, why are you lording over somebody? lording over a star.
Yeah. So if I'm correct, it was like it describes the exact. It's a double star series, right? And we only discovered that it's a double star like a few decades ago. And in the Quran, it actually describes that it's a double star, and it describes the exact orbit. The only two references to Sirius, and then the numbers are the exact orbit of it, which is not a coincidence, I think. So whoever wrote these things had knowledge of the stars. Probably it's from far older knowledge that we forgot or something.
Well, that would kind of fit, wouldn't it? I mean, all this suppression of history. You know, if you ever see that meme, like if this is fake news, you're like in a library or somewhere. If there's fake news, then is this fake history? And I mean, you have to ask yourself after a while because it sure seems that way. You're being told something now that the timeline that doesn't match all these ever increasing number of anomalies. And yet they don't want to, there's no big push to like realign it or come up with a new timeline or or even to go at these sites and check them out and figure how they're all tied together. They just don't want to go there. They're all locked up. You don't get to look around. You don't get to do any archaeology. There's always these wars going. There's usually a war zone nearby, just magically, at the same time to keep you out of the area.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I have it. So this is what literally I had to search for it a bit because you find so much other stuff. Okay. So you have in the Quran it says, "It's he who is the Lord of Sirius." Quran 53:49. And it says the second reference it gives to Sirius is he was 2 bow lengths away or even closer. Quran 53.9. So you have it ending with 49.9. And Sirius, the brightest star, is a twin star, and the orbit lasts 49.9 years. And Sirius A and Sirius B orbit each other in a double bow every 49.9 years. So this is something they could not have known, and it is weird that the only two references to Sirius give 49.9.
Right.
That's weird. That's an anomaly. I mean,
And I think it's the Sphinx. It has the pi. I forget what it is. It had 3.14 somewhere in its measurement. I just can't remember what it is.
Mark, I want to tell you, I think there's a African tribe that came up with, it's not a Sirius AB, but a Sirius ABC system. There's actually 3 stars in that group, and they seem to know about it. And I forget when they came out with that. It was long before the even more recent discovery. I think there's a 3rd star in that system.
okay. I don't know that. I don't know that the Zulu describe giants, blonde giants, visiting them long ago. And when the white people from Europe visited them again later on, colonizing the area, they thought it were the same people, and they actually gave these people the same name as they gave these visitors from a long time ago. They have the same word for it. Can't remember the word now. I have to check it again. But yeah, so that's what they gave the European visitors, which probably Scandinavian visitors, the same name as the gods that visited them thousands and thousands of years in their mythology. It means like something like people from the sky or something. But they were not. They were aggressive weirdos from Europe.
You know, throw that in the ABB chat, Jones. That thing's crazy looking.
What?
Sure.
Whatever the hell that is.
Oh yeah, it's like
Um,
some ancient uh
Joint fish.
something like that.
no, Steve. I think it's called an orthocerida. I'm saying that wrong, but it's
The
from the whatchamacallit, the
the
Ordovician age or Ordovician age, which was like the first age that was wiped out by the first major mass extinction. That's kind of a snapshot of what the oceans looked like
so
before
it's
then. That's like kind of a squid octopus like
Yeah,
creature
it's the
type
the
thing.
shell or
mar-
something, like a pointy
Yeah,
shell.
but the shell's different.
it's the marley fish from the avocado age. I knew I was gonna get either that or a cluck. One of those. Yeah, the avocado age.
You say the age of avocados. Did we talk about the Myanmar crisis that's going on?
We
I don't
haven't
think
yet.
so.
Yeah, so apparently the now when they're protesting, they've besides using the rubber rounds, they've been using actual bullets and shooting the protesters.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, anonymous ops are running against Myanmar, right? Besides being taken down,
yeah.
everything.
Yeah, they also fired their ambassador because he wanted the UN to step in.
Yeah. Well, they locked the internet down at night. I think for these people.
Yeah. So basically, it's just a military. The military just seized power, and that's it. That's what they did.
Here in America?
No, Myanmar.
Oh,
Uh,
You wish, hello. Uh, this is what. Yeah, I would love to talk more about that stuff about these mysteries, but yeah, Myanmar is fucking bad situation. Yemen too, by the way. I mean, like, seems like these people need direct help, and we actually should do more
like
for that.
Yeah, are there any like planned tweet storms or anything like that for Feed Yemen just to push those go get funding links so you can get like some resources, Mark?
I think every Saturday they're doing a tweet storm. Let me just
it's
confirm
hard
it.
to be honest. It's hard to get money to Yemen using
Yeah.
like you can't use MoneyGram. You can't use Western Union. Uh, I don't know. We do have a guy that's from there. I just don't know. I just don't know how. Unless you're doing like a direct bank to bank wiring, but I'm not sure if any bank will wire money to Yemen. Not at least stateside.
Yeah, Humanity Voice is doing work there.
Yeah.
They're with that other guy. They're actually reliable. They're showing also like the pictures every week of what they're doing and all the stuff. Uh, they're getting a lot of help from Germany directly. Like the Germans, they're not sending money to Germans, but they're sending like medicines and stuff directly to them. The money is used for food and for water tanks in the streets, like these water with like a few thousand liters of water in it. They're putting them around, and they're also yeah, well, they were giving away like bananas and stuff, and they actually do a lot of work for them. It was sad to see that like they had their go get funding up for like a few months, and they only had received like what, a few $100. Now they're getting more. Um, Still, it's not what we would hope for.
Yeah, how long has the war been going on there? It's like almost more than a decade now, right?
Yeah, like forever. Yeah. But now it's reaching the point that there's like 24 million people facing direct hunger. 24 million. And that may be the largest humanitarian crisis in history.
Yeah.
Well, they've been pushing pretty deep into uh, the Western Yemen. There's some Saudi installations there that they brought in, and they constantly getting attacked. And there's a dam there they want to get to. If they can get that back, they can probably launch more attacks into southern Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
This the
These are
Saudis don't seem like they're fighting very hard for it. They're having trouble.
just real quick about the storms. They're usually on Saturday on 8 p.m. London time, 8 p.m. in the evening. So London time every Saturday, and that's the same time as we do the We Are All a Science Twitter storms. But then we do this our storms on Friday, and they're on every Saturday. So if you want to join, is it OP Feed Yemen or Yemen Can't Wait? You can use that too.
Right.
It's a horrible, horrible situation.
Yeah.
Storms are working though; they're receiving some money. So they're around for 4,200 pounds. No.
It goes quite a ways in Yemen.
Yeah, but they do so much with that, right? I mean, so they have these food packs, and they cost 30 pounds, and they contain 25 kilos of white flour, 25 kilos of brown flours, 10 kilos of rice, 5 kilos of sugar, and 4 liters of cooking oil, for example. And they have these other meals for 5 pounds. They have like a chicken, a kilo of vegetables, and 5 pieces of bread. And they have these water tanks, and they cost each installment of a water tank costs 600 pounds.
Jesus.
And clean water to each tank on a weekly basis, so they can refill them, will be 15 pounds a week. That's what the money is being used for. For 15 pounds a week, they can refill that huge storage container with water. And they're doing blankets, single blankets and double blankets, winter clothes. And then they have a third fundraising campaign that is for healthcare. They provide milk nutrition medicine for children for 15 pounds a month, and for diabetics and for disabled people. That's what they're going to focus on. So these three things: malnourished children, diabetic, chronic diabetic, and disabled people. There isn't really much more you can do. Right? You have to focus on a few things, the worst case scenarios, and yeah, it's funny news. Steve.
Did you hear about the guy from Nike, one of the head CEOs? Their son was busted for having a huge resale operation. Yeah, this is kind of funny. So he used his mother's card, company credit card, and was buying like like at any given time. I guess it was like 1,000 pairs of shoes that he was buying and using his mom's Nike discount along with the credit card. And this went on for about a year. And Bloomberg decided they wanted to do a special on him, and that's how he got caught. Is that he named his mom, or when he called or when he called back Bloomberg, the caller ID was from his mom, and she just resigned the next day. He compromised a 25-year career with Nike.
That's insane.
Yeah, yeah. They said maybe he might have made like 200,000 since the operation started, but like, what the fuck? Like, for real? And I'm kind of like weird about like how could his mom have not known? Oh well.
Moms like to cover for their sons and their children, you know.
Yeah.
But hey, it could have worked. I mean, you know, he was making good dough, and fuck, cops fucked it up, man.
Well, Bloomberg he fucked it up when he had to when he called back Bloomberg. Yeah, I don't know. Like he's like another fucking retard. Like what was his name? Scorelli. He was a piece of shit too.
Yeah, that Martin Scorsese guy. Isn't he like in jail now?
Yeah, he's gonna be in prison for like another. I think it was like 5 years. So I think it's with 2018. He'll be out in like maybe what was it? 2018, maybe 2022, maybe another year. Um, yeah, he got busted. He was trying to run another Ponzi scheme from a company. Remember, he was posting from Twitter and from prison, and then he got busted trying to get more investors to like do another scheme that he was doing before. Yeah, I think he got additional charges for that.
That
Yeah,
guy
I guess go all out in trouble. I mean, fuck it.
yeah. His whole life story is just like the little kid that we used to beat up, and he'd be like, "I'm gonna get you," and then one day he actually gets like a shit ton of money. He does a whole bunch of fucked up stuff. Even his relationships were fucked up. You remember he was dating some like corporate exec that was like married to another man, and she felt sorry for him when she was doing the reporting, and like she left her husband for him, and then like she was with him up until about even while he was in prison, and then tells her that he doesn't want to be with her.
Yeah, there's something to say with that psychology. Like at
He's
some point, he became super rich, and then he got poor again. But then he wanted at all costs to become rich again. So he does this weird kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what he did, with the medications was unforgivable. Really, I don't. He turned a $10 prescription into $800 overnight just for pure greed. And
Yeah,
they only really give it to HIV patients to give it a certain form of pneumonia that they're more prone to. But we're dealing with life saving medications, and you jack up the price because you think it's cool. Like, that's not fucking cool.
I don't think he thought it was cool. I think he thought, oh, I can make a lot of fucking money on this really quick.
At the expense of human life.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Big Pharma does it too, though.
Yeah, you can actually make the medication in your house for like $15 worth of materials, and you could get the same. You could literally make the same medication with household chemicals. Um, so I mean, how do you jack it up to like $800 when you can literally produce like a gram for like 15 cents in your house? I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, well, that guy's locked up, but what about all these other big pharma who scam the world?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's not the only asshole. He's just one of the ones that got caught really quick.
Well, you have to throw the low hanging fruit to the dog sometimes to make it look like you're you know clamping down on all this corruption. You got to throw somebody the wolf.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just like the military. It's usually sergeant and below. They're the true cannon fodder. They're the cover for everybody else.
Speaking of blow, did you guys see the article I dropped into the chat about the
No.
cornflakes?
No.
That's hysterical.
Was covered in cocaine instead of sugar?
U.S. Customs and Border Patrol seized a shipment of cereal from South America that was covered in cocaine instead of sugar. CBP officers in
44
intercepted the package on February 3rd, day before Valentine's Day, and your Coke gets fucking seized. Containing cocaine-coated cornflakes, according to a news release. The cocaine on the cornflakes weighed 44 pounds. Working an incoming freight from Peru, a CPD narcotic detector dog named Biko flagged. I love how they named the dog. Flagged the cereal shipment going to a private residence in Hong Kong. So let's get this. The full picture here is that there's a shipping container,
Yeah.
American freighter, heading to Hong Kong that they find in the port of Cincinnati. Just getting that, because that's something that makes sense. Upon further inspection, officers found and tested white powder on the cereal that was positive for cocaine. Yeah.
He's
They
cuckoo
get
for coca.
almost.
That's like the hardest way ever to get it here.
I'm trying to think, like, how the fuck would you do chemically get it off the cornflakes? That's not easy.
It's an ancient cartel secret. Can't tell you.
Maybe they just want maybe they wanted to go really fast, with their breakfast.
Right. Do that. Get your daily dose of fiber and your cocaine.
Well, it's not uncommon in that part of the world to chew coca leaves, but it's totally different when you're
Let's go to Hong Kong though.
Yeah.
An entire 44 pounds of cocaine worth of cereal boxes were going to a private residence in Hong Kong.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot that happens in between, having a coca leaf and then white powder cocaine.
Yeah, it's like
Mostly
you're
hardcore,
dealing
yeah.
with beer versus vodka. That's a totally different experience. Yeah. Oh god, that's funny.
If you need a little cereal with your Coke in the morning,
It says in July, police in Italy discovered cocaine stuffed inside individually hollowed out coffee beans after opening a parcel addressed to a fictitious mob boss from a Hollywood movie.
Scarface.
that's a lot of trouble.
Right. Oh, Jesus.
Individually hollowed out. Do you know how much cocaine you have to be on to hollow out coffee beans?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that just seems impractical.
That is fucking extra.
I've heard of them flying drones over the border and stuff like that, and like the remote control submarines that they have. I've heard of those that they
If I'm Customs and Border Patrol and I see someone sneaking in cocaine via individually hollowed out coffee beans, I'm just letting it through.
Yeah, bro.
A for effort, my guy.
A for effort. Look, you
for
just
effort.
extra mild that shit. You did. You fucking get on in there and make your money.
Well, I've always been for decriminalization. If you decriminalize drugs, you get rid of the criminal aspects and you get rid of the the kingpins and the drug lords. You know, you take the criminal aspect out of it if you just legalize everything.
That's true.
Yeah, you know they're gonna start doing that. It's gonna be on a California ballot um, this year to decriminalize all psychedelics.
Yeah, Athenogens are decriminalized here in Santa Cruz, and you can grow them.
Oh yeah, I heard
All
about that. Yeah, they were also some of the head shops were giving away marijuana. Not marijuana. They were selling mushrooms as a religious sacrament, and the payment was the donation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's like a legal loophole. They've been able to do that, but yeah, like it doesn't make any. I mean, it really it's your own body. If you want to put whatever into your own body, who's to tell you what the hell you're supposed to do? And then they always say, well, it destroys family and they're killing themselves. I'm like, well, people are gonna do drugs whether you make it legal or legal. They're still gonna be doing them. You know,
Yeah.
Portugal decriminalized everything in 2001. And the study showed that when they decriminalized everything, there were actually less people using drugs, um, and crime went down.
Yeah, because drugs have to do with human health, right? And not it's not with crime. It's with health.
Yes, we're dealing with a healthcare issue. We're not dealing with a crime. I mean, the
No,
people
you're
that
having
are
the police involved with healthcare. This makes no sense.
exactly. It makes no sense. Like when people are addicted to drugs, we're dealing with the mental. We're dealing with a mental problem, which is healthcare.
Yeah.
But
Drugs.
we'd have to give you some freedoms back, and you know, government doesn't like that.
Well, I mean, people think that cocaine and heroin is like a real problem. Cocaine was in the United States in the 20s. People that only the upper class was doing it. You know, so it's not like something new. They said the cocaine epidemic happened in the 80s.
Hey, one hell of a drug.
Yeah, I mean, heroin was legal up until the turn of the last century. So
That's true.
I mean, and it was kind of controversial. It was with that Consternance movement, which was like a Christian-backed movement to have everybody stay sober and illegalize alcohol, which made no sense either. All of the drug laws in the United States are based around lies. Oh, we lost somebody.
Mark.
Oh, we lost Mark.
Yeah.
Oh, there
Oh.
he is.
But
You good, Mark?
Yeah. Discord crashed again. I just want to say, cocaine was given to soldiers in World War One, right? It was mass produced. So.
yeah, and they were giving amphetamines to soldiers up until like the 70s, like to stay away for long periods of time, long overnight flights over the Atlantic.
The little liquid cocaine things, like cocaine put in a liquid, were sales in British pharmacies in, around World War One.
Yeah, the kamikazes were using that too.
You used heroin as cough syrup, right? They have like heroin in cough syrup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hitler's scientists invented dolophyine. Remember that? Methadone. He was addicted to it.
Yeah.
And meth.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
He used to talk. Like I heard he was like a lot of his crazy rants is because he was always on drugs.
I was also sick. Yeah,
Yeah.
sickness. Yeah. It's true. They become also like paranoid because of it.
Yeah.
So you start murdering everyone, right? You start like murdering higher up peoples around you because you don't trust them anymore, and entire populations. Because everyone who is deemed an enemy will have to be eliminated because you get completely paranoid. You
That's
have the
what-
power to actually do it.
Oh, that's why I always thought Trump was, secretly doing Adderall. Like, I don't know. There's been a few situations where I saw him online where he had the pasty mouth.
Well, it's the way he did his lips, and I mean that's classic cocaine behavior, man.
Yeah, like he was on stimulants. It was like fairly obvious that he was under the influence of stimulants, and the crazy talk is just kind of like it fits the bill. If it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck. It's probably a duck.
Yeah, well, the guy's over 70 years old, sleeps 4 hours a night, and eats like only fast food. He has to have some kind of stimulants.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Like 70. Okay, I would believe it if he was maybe 30 or 40 years old, but he's 70 years old. You can't live on 4 hours a night and fast food.
Well, not only that, long-term amphetamine use can have real consequences, especially to your heart and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Man, but he kept it up for 4 years, man. I mean, if he was really railing that whole time, jeez. I mean,
It's very normal though in those communities, like with high-end politicians and stuff. Usually, amphetamines, like you have pharmaceutical amphetamines, are pretty clean according to these people. So.
Well, there was one time during the primary where Trump was shaking, like his hands were shaking. It was really weird.
Yeah, because he's on amphetamines. Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
Or if he's not doing like Adderall, he's probably doing like modafinil or the pseudo stimulants, but they still have the same effect on the body.
Yeah, if it was like MDMA, it would be way more visible, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, it's one of the few things you can do. Well, you have to be an elitist and kind of, with that criminal nature and everything, you have to, like, be in that crowd. So you have to do it. And then it's just like, showing just what a criminal you are. You go out there and dust your nose right before you give a speech. I mean, that's a good politician, man.
Remember the mayor of Toronto was like, he got busted smoking crack, and then he told everybody he likes smoking crack. You remember that?
Yeah, like Ford. I think they did they get rid of him, and then they voted for him again, man. I mean,
yeah, and then he
Canadians are
died of like
something
a heart
else.
attack. Yeah, he died like a heart attack from smoking crack.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Go Toronto. I mean, it's not like we've had our crack smoking mayors here in the U.S.
Oh yeah,
Although I'm pretty sure that what's David Dinkins got set up. I'm pretty sure that was a setup. There was Marion Barry. Pretty sure that was a setup. That was DC. Although he did like crack. He really did like crack a lot. But that particular bust was a setup. Do you guys not remember that when the mayor of DC got busted with a hooker and crack in a hotel?
No.
No. Hey, but in DC, that's cool, man. I mean, when you're a beloved mayor, what's a little crack between friends? I mean, come on.
So let's see what we got for on this day in history. The end of a joint sting operation by FBI agents and District of Columbia Police. Mayor Marion Barry is arrested and charged with fuck you pop-up with drug possession and the use of crack, a crystalline form of cocaine. At the Vista International Hotel in downtown Washington, Barry was caught smoking the substance on camera with Rashida Moore, a woman who had agreed to set up Barry in exchange for a reduced sentence to an earlier drug conviction. In September 1991, he was sentenced to 6 months for possession of crack. After serving his sentence, Barry claimed to have overcome his personal adversaries, re-entered DC politics. He was elected to the city council before once again winning the mayor election in 94 for an unprecedented fourth time. In 97, Barry, often accused of corruption, was stripped of much of his power by Congress, which passed legislation to end home rule in the district, returning the city to pre-1974 system of administration by federal appointed commissioners. In January of 99, Barry retired Barry re-entered politics again in 2004 and won a city council seat.
Well, crackheads will not be denied. I mean, this is.
But yeah, 1990 gets caught smoking crack in a hotel room, gets set up for that, or gets caught with crack. 1990, 1991 gets caught with crack after being set up, goes to jail, gets out, gets reelected, and in order to combat just how beloved Marion Barry is, Congress strips DC's mayor of like most of their power just so they never have the ability to influence the citizens that much again, to get that much public support as their crack smoking, whore banging mayor, Marion Barry.
I mean,
Americans love an underdog. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Every crackhead could look up to.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, look, he'd be a damn mayor. I mean, come on. Must have been doing a good job, or there's just a whole lot of crack smoking going on in D.C. I'd actually lean more towards that than anything. That's probably what the problem is. He actually does represent the people in D.C. Just can't be free, man. We're just not going to give you a crack smoking mayor. Just leave him alone. He just can't lead you.
Yeah.
Hey, what other subjects did we have? Did you cover everything already?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I
There's
don't,
an
I
8.1
don't
earthquake
remember.
near New Zealand.
Okay, well, we should probably mention for the
There's
record
that,
that
there's SpaceX, there's the screaming in an air sealed room to test for COVID.
Oh yeah, I put the Reuters tweet for that, but it's above, so
I see that.
Yeah, you just scream in a
repaste
room.
it just to bring it.
yeah, well, we should probably mention for the record that this YouTube channel of this group called Heartlands Media was censored. Now, we should get really angry about it, but everyone is being censored online. And at first it was the right. First it was the right.
I want to make a point though, because guys at Hardlands Media that made a decision, and they put their like uncensored content on Rockfin, and they deliberately set out to have a YouTube channel that wasn't controversial, where they didn't cover the like, can't talk about that subjects on YouTube. Like they had they went out of their way to play within the lines, and YouTube still fucked them. It's not about. It's not even about what the content is. If you are pegged at any point as any kind of dissident.
Yeah, but the problem is they should have all spoken out the moment people like Alex Jones were banned, even if he was a crazy. Everyone should have raged out and said like, you can't ban this fucker. You just can't do it. You can't ban anyone. Like, and then others started like losing their accounts, but people didn't massively speak out, and now anyone who was capable of defending these people, like Heartlands Media, is gone. Because the people who are listening to it, they're not going to defend Heartlands Media. I saw like 20 tweets about it total. Like, this is not going to stop YouTube. They don't care. Like,
that's the thing. You don't have a platform of an audience where they're going to complain back. I mean, they're not going to unsuspend you. I mean, it's.
So I made one tweet about like free speech with a thing. I tagged you in it too, Steve, like saying like you have to defend free speech for everyone, right? Or you're not defending free speech at all. Like,
Yeah.
we have to defend all that media. They need their YouTube back, but I think everyone needs to back who's been suspending for their opinion, to be honest.
No,
Whatever.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the only time I'd be like, and I even said like it's fucked up that it happened, but the only time that I've ever even giggled about somebody getting a video removed was when it happened like 48 hours after he accused friends of mine who were covering the Capitol insurrection, who were there covering it, and then report on election integrity. This dude said that they were personally responsible for all of the deaths that day, and were like domestic terrorists and fucking were, QAnon and this, that, and the other, and that they should be deplatformed for questioning the integrity of the election. And then 48 hours later, he got a video removed. And I thought that was funny, but also bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, petty me thought that was funny.
Yeah, well, and not to mention, I know exactly who you're talking about, Steve. But, like Petty Glory and Petty Steve, they kept their pettiness to themselves. But, in the actual front and in private and like everywhere, we were saying like, nah, this is bullshit. This should not be happening whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, and the dude, when Alex Jones got fucking taken down, we screamed about it. But,
yeah, you did, but a lot of people were silent, and it was like
oh, I know. And I guarantee you that a lot of the audience members of a lot of the shows that have been getting censored have been silent about it too. And they're like, oh, that sucks. Bummer. And then just go on about their business, not realizing that like they have a voice, and if they add that voice to everybody else's voice, it's a really fucking loud voice, and they can get some shit done.
Yeah, they're mixing human rights up with political opinions. They're thinking like, okay, so with this guy with a different political opinion in mind, he can be removed because his opinion is different. But they don't understand that to these platforms, all humans are actually equally losing their rights. Platforms don't care about it. They get pushed by whatever government is in control now, or whatever fits their narrative that they want to bring out. But everyone loses it.
Oh, real quick, Anthony Scannell in the Rockfin chat says Rob Ford's brother is the premier of Ontario. Now, I knew he had a brother, and I knew that his brother was in politics, but I didn't want to get it wrong, so I'm really glad you put that in the chat. Premier of Ontario. Rob's, what's his brother? Is it Charlie Ford? Can we blame him for killing Jesse James too?
Are they related?
I don't know. I haven't really seen too many pictures of the original Robert Ford. If he looked anything like Casey Affleck, based on what Rob Ford of Toronto looks like, I'm going to go with no, not related. Although the likelihood of the real Robert Ford looking like Casey Affleck is pretty slim.
Maybe at a certain point in time.
Nick Cave is in that fucking movie. I don't even know if you guys know what I'm talking about. There's a movie called The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. And what the hell?
Yeah, that was
Fuck
good.
was that?
What is that?
That was your that's your laptop,
Like
AT.
yeah.
Huh.
It wasn't me.
Anywho,
Weird.
It's a bug proof for being recorded.
Yeah, it was you.
Oh man. Oh, I heard it again.
It's Corey Jones.
Let me see.
no, it's still there.
Is it still there?
I can still kind of hear it in the background.
I can't.
Not anymore. Weird.
Is it like my earphones?
Let us know in the
Caught in
chat
my
if you guys
hair?
know what we're talking about.
Was it like
Or
my
if it's
earphones
something
getting caught in my hair or something? Because that's happened before. Oh, thank you, Sleepy.
Weird.
That was like power line hum for just a couple
Yeah.
seconds.
So
Doug
yeah.
Ford. Rob and Doug Ford. That's right. That's fucking right. They look like fucking, I don't know, like Irish Rodney Dangerfields, kind of. Little piggy eyes. Not like the big bulging Rodney Dangerfield eyes. But like little piggy eyes. Fucking, yeah.
So one little piggy smoked
I
crack.
guess they look like Drew Carey without the glasses. Probably a little bit more accurate. Although more Canadian. Like if John Kerry and or John Candy and Drew Carey had a baby and then gave it a bunch of crack. It would be Rob Ford. Big fat crack baby. Mayor of Toronto. Sweaty.
Okay, guys.
Sick, man. Sick.
Jesus Christ, dude. Fucking. Can you imagine, dude, just being hubbed out and fucking making city planning decisions and shit.
Yeah, he takes a big fat puff right before all the big decisions. Yeah.
It's just fucking humming. Let's talk zoning, motherfucker. I don't know. I forgot Rob Ford.
So if you had a choice, would you want your politicians on any drug that, total free, they can take any drug they want, or should we drug test them and make sure they're not on any drug?
Mandatory DMT.
Yay.
I knew that was coming.
This was a cornerstone of my interim presidency.
Yes.
Glory declared me interim president. So
being that there was no winner of the 2020 election, I decided to declare Steve interim president of these good United States of America, and my declaration of his interim presidency was still more free and fair and secure than U.S. elections, and Steve already has more support than Juan Guaido, so I figured it was sound.
Yeah, mandatory DMT, the release of all political prisoners, and then the dissolution of the federal government immediately and peacefully.
Yes.
peacefully.
Yeah. Yeah. My interim presidency. And I will be conducting my interim presidency with my co-vice president, John McAfee's pirate yacht, and Kendra Christian.
So you're secretly pulling the strings behind the scenes, man.
So John McAfee's working through you. That's the way I see it.
He's Q.
I nominated or I asked John McAfee's yacht to be my vice president, but I wanted a co-vice president. So I also asked my co-host on the Free Assange Vigils, Kendra Christian, to be the vice president too. So the White House technically would be like in one of my vice presidents. It would be the yacht. It'd be hard to fit the yacht inside Kendra. Seems based on physics rather impossible.
So your plan is to stack the vice president's office with a lot of your hand-picked cronies, huh? That's what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's a good corporate. I mean, yeah, that's corporate. I mean, I see that all the time.
Did you think I was going to go for Raytheon? No. I'm going to go for like Uncle Vinny, the arms dealer I know. You've seen how Raytheon works. I had Nico House as the director of the CIA on the condition that he abolished the CIA and immediately replaced it with the Department of Minding Your Own Damn Business. Like basically all of my cronies are anarchists, so I don't really mind putting them in cabinet positions since we're dissolving the government more or less immediately anyway.
Well, how do you justify stacking the vice president's office if you're trying to get rid of government?
Because pirate yacht, motherfucker! Come on! Jesus!
True anarchy. There can't be a president, no vice presidents.
I wanted to be president long enough to dissolve the federal government. At which point I would no longer be president. I'd just be a dude on a motherfucking pirate yacht.
Let's be honest, you would be dead. Dead. Dead like Kennedy.
I think that'd be the last EO he would ever sign.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it would be the last one you'd ever sign, and it would never go into effect. It would be like, I don't know what he signed, but we don't know what he signed, but yeah, let's go on with the next presidential election.
Oh, well, you don't need any election integrity in a nation with no government and no elected leaders. You don't need to vote anymore. I mean, it solves a lot of problems. No more election fraud.
Yeah, it saves you time too. You can just do other stuff that day. Just don't vote anymore. Go hang around. Get drunk.
We can just all get drunk and sit around a burn barrel.
Yeah.
Oh, you've been to Boulder Creek. Cheers.
Hey, a good burn barrel with plenty of wood. I mean, I'm not against it. You know, if we're going to get sustainable and getting back to the earth and all that. And It'd be very fitting to use something that probably used to house oil within it and then use it as a burn barrel for, well, in the post oil economy, whatever that's going to look like. I'm just envisioning a lot of dirt roads and horses, and I don't know, man. I think it's going to suck, but you know.
I mean, I live on a dirt road, and the place I've been working at for like the last year is a horse property. Basically, fucking describing. I don't know where. Actually, I live way too close to civilization as far as I'm concerned. But
Aw.
yeah.
I mean, how horrible. I mean, a property with horses and everything. I mean, sounds very rich, but
Sounds like a pain in the ass to me. I don't want to keep horses. I would ride one if I was my only means of conveyance.
well, let's assume your electric vehicle, you either can't charge it or it's broken for some reason. And, you know, in the new economy, you can't find parts or anything. It was a one-time deal. You know, what do? You hop on your horse, right?
I mean, ideally, wouldn't you?
And
Yeah, I mean-
you should have jetpacks.
I'm not riding a bicycle around here. Those guys are fucking nuts. Like hilly. 20-year smoker.
2021 and we don't have jetpacks yet. Well, I mean we do, but we have fucking
Oh yeah, they have
janky ones
No, they got the
that
cool
the
ones
military uses.
No, they have the cool ones in Dubai. The jetpacks with the wings on it. They go about 180 miles an hour for flights up to 30 minutes. They drop them off on an airplane and then he just flies around on it. It has a wing too. It's fucking cool as fuck.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of those models starts at like $100,000. So,
Oh.
yeah.
Well, that's
I mean,
very elite.
well, I mean, you ever seen the Dubai jetpack guy? I'm sure you guys have at some point.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I
that
mean,
Swiss guy, yeah.
yeah, he's like one. Yeah, he's pretty famous, and then he, yeah, that thing, that wing that he flies on goes about like 180 miles an hour. He's really going fast. And the wing is the fuel tank.
Is that going to be approved in the new green economy, though? I mean, is AOC behind this?
Well,
And the
yeah,
squad?
that's the thing is like you can't really replace jet fuel for turbojet engines. Like that's
Jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
yeah.
So I can't fly the buildings and
No,
only
I don't know.
run
I
over-
really don't know a safe alternative to kerosene. It's
How about hemp biodiesel, man? Can we burn it on that? I mean, that would be green. I mean,
I've worked on a few biodiesel conversions before with my cousin, and they're not as easy as you think because they have to have these filters, right? And you need to start off with a diesel engine to begin with, and you can't engage. They don't like fully run on like biodiesel. Like if you're doing it correctly, you have to get it. You have to run diesel first and then switch over to the biodiesel because it burns at a hotter temperature.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got to, I mean, we just have to get rid of all fuels. I mean, whether they come from fossil fuels or not, let's just get rid of all fuels, all energy. I think that's what we really need to do.
No, there will always be a need for combustion engines, especially when you're dealing in subarctic, sub-zero temperatures.
That's what you think. The Green New Deal. We're getting rid of all your cars.
I'm just saying that like Antarctica, a lot of them are using generators.
Not environmentally friendly. No.
Not
Yeah,
entirely.
somehow lithium mining is environmentally friendly, despite it.
It's
I mean,
really
we won't
not.
even talk about all the recycling and, where you put all this shit when you're finally done with it. But
I mean, we could just ship it off to space, and then let the aliens deal with it.
Oh, it's coming. It is. If that's, I'm convinced that the SpaceX program is just Elon Musk's method for body disposal, because like 1 out of every 3 SpaceX rockets blows up. Like, it's barely a news story at this point anymore. When a SpaceX rocket blows up, it's like when one doesn't, that you're like, oh shit. Hey.
I mean, is he doing like some disposing for the Clintons? I mean, somebody needs.
What I think it's like Neuralink experiments gone bad, but he's actually purchased human beings for it. So in order to like destroy the evidence, he's putting them on the SpaceX or in that Tesla Roadster that they shot up into space. If there wasn't 30 dead hookers in the trunk of that thing, like I'll build you a house.
Man, proving that's going to be difficult, but
right, I guarantee Elon Musk serial killer. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, and since the thing missed Mars, we can't just. I mean, it's going to be that much harder to chase it. It's just getting further and further out. We're going to get the evidence.
Right. No, Elon put a destruct button on that. Nobody finding those hookers.
Well, they do have suicide pills. You know that, right? They do have those in space in case you're in a situation where you can't survive.
Is that part of the new Green Deal?
Something like that.
It is. It's like right after they've extracted every last penny in carbon tax from you, they'll give you the option of the suicide pill or to go.
But what about the legislation to direct the formation of a task force, to direct the formation of a bipartisan committee, to organize another separate task force that will direct a bipartisan committee to write a strongly worded letter?
What?
I think that has to go through a working group first.
Okay, got it.
Think tank has to come up with it. Only then because of the smart idea.
Yeah, of course.
An elite think tank, not just anybody. On K Street, Washington, D.C.
Well, I'm getting tired.
Yeah, me too.
Do we want to bring up the COVID screen test yet?
That's just funny.
It's so funny. So, the new Reuters article, Scream, not swab. Dutch, Mark. Dutch inventor hopes he discovered a new COVID test. A Dutch inventor has come up with what he hopes could be a potentially faster and easier method to screen for COVID infections. Instead of unpleasant nasal swab test, Peter Van Wees asked participants to step into an airlocked cabin and to scream or sing. An industrial air purifier collects all the particles emitted, which are then analyzed for the virus.
If I wrote that article, I would have said that instead of using butt swabs for fighting the virus, and the difficult test that we now have, a researcher has discovered a new way to test for COVID-19. You just really had to throw in the butt swab there. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah, for real. I mean, come on.
We don't need to swab. I'm going to find an article. I think the Japanese were telling the Chinese not to butt swab their people the other day. Hang on a second here. No, I'm not kidding.
I know, but it just sounds funny when you say it.
Don't butt swab our people.
You know that this guy is just trolling, right? This inventor. Like he's just trolling because you don't necessarily have to scream. It's called the Cuba, by the way, the device. But he's
Yeah.
just trolling around.
Well,
He
the
makes people scream.
logic, the quote they use from him is, if you have coronavirus and are infectious and quote unquote yelling and screaming, you are spreading tens of thousands of particles which contain coronavirus.
Yeah, you can also just laugh really hard. You don't have to like scream. You can like yeah. But that's the thing. I think you're just trolling around. But this is actually from February already, early February. I don't know. The Reuters picked up on it now, but that's really weird too. Like the anal COVID-19 test. Yeah.
I know.
There's no purpose. Really, there's no purpose for it. Really.
Like, how do you take that? Honestly, like you have to just like make a parody of that shit and just fucking troll them at that point. Show up in a fucking GIMP mask or something.
Yeah, I think it's just government like insulting their own people. Being like, we can do anything to you. We're going to make you do this.
Yeah.
Japan asked China to stop anal COVID-19 test on Japanese citizens.
Oh my god, the subtext. Tokyo has asked Beijing not to subject Japanese nationals entering the country to the test after receiving complaints of psychological distress from some of them. Oh my god.
He says they at least buy you dinner first. Yeah. I mean,
Before you test for COVID, please buy me dinner.
yeah, I mean, like, but it's weird, right? Like, there's so many different methods to test that stuff. They do
Well,
like the
I mean,
more.
if they're gonna stick it up your ass, it's only fair that they treat you right. Come on.
Yeah, Sleepy is right. They have to buy you dinner or something first, right? Yeah.
So what are we going to call it? It's not transphobic. It's not xenophobic. What's a phobia for this? Scatophobia? What?
Anophobia?
Cornholiophobia.
Just because I don't want my, what? I don't want him playing with me. I mean, he comes to my private parts, man. Come on. It's got to be a line somewhere.
Swabphobia. I have
Any privacy?
swabphobia. I'm sorry, China. I have swabphobia. No, you can't do that.
Right.
I'm sorry, I have anosophobia. It's
just because Chinese are doing it. You're anti-Chinese.
No.
But at that point, I would just... See, at that point, you just gotta show up to the fucking doctor's office and fucking troll them with it. Like, get a GIMP mask, and then when they do it, be like, "Oh, yeah, test me harder, doctor."
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Bob, pussy.
Well, let's make a challenge out of it. It's like, look, we have good Chinese that are willing to do this. I mean, what is wrong with you Americans? It'd be like that ice bucket challenge or something. Look, we're doing it. It's like, what's the matter? Can't you do it? I mean,
Like, I nominate Steve Poikinen, Mark Lubers, and AK for the anal swab challenge.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is this something that's going to go viral on TikTok? Because I feel like that could get people banned.
Oh, you could totally get people on TikTok to do that, though.
Oh, yeah.
Really
They're
good.
toilets. Come
Put
on.
a Q-tip in my ass
That's how you get viral videos.
for 15
Oh, yeah.
seconds.
I mean, like,
Toilet seat. I mean, yeah. I mean, who would have thought that that's how you would get a viral video? I mean,
Oh, the irony of viral video. That's a good one, man.
yeah. And you also get a viral disease. All in one go. I mean, fuck. I mean, what more could you ask for?
HIV infected swabs.
That's just pushing it.
Well, I mean, we need
Why
to kill
would
a
you
lot of people.
bother when you can just get the vaccine that throws up false HIV positives?
Is it false?
Maybe.
It's by design.
There is a question for you in the chat, Steve. It says, Ted Calvin asks, Steve, did we land on the moon or not?
Oh, you will have to tune in Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, when DNC fraud lawsuit attorney and author and one of
Jared
our
fucking
time.
to the point.
Okay, answer it
What?
right now.
I said Jared back, get to the point.
AK couldn't handle the
Jared will be on
suspense.
this Sunday, and
Jared, woo
we're
woo.
going to have a moon landing episode, so I'm not going to give away the entire conversation with Jared. We'll probably answer it right off the bat and then spend the rest of the time kicking around, the tires on all angles of the conspiracy about it. That sounds fun.
We have AK, and AK already has read documents which even exist on WikiLeaks. So maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, there's documents on WikiLeaks that are actually missing that say that the Soviets that the U.S. had a moon base and the Soviets had destroyed it. And this is in a cable that is missing on WikiLeaks' website. And I'm pretty sure I found a whole bunch of different cables missing. I'm pretty sure all those cables are in the insurance file. 90% sure. Because the actual files are not on WikiLeaks' website. So there's no link to the documents, but it just says the cable name. So you can't actually read the cable. But you can read the cable title, and the cable title is Soviets destroyed U.S. secret moon base.
Okay.
All right.
Also, Project Horizon is basically they had a idea to build a moon base in the 50s and 60s. And they say that they canceled it, but then they also canceled other various space program stuff. They had a military space fleet that they canceled, supposedly, that was billions of dollars. But, they canceled it because, it didn't work, right? They spent billions of dollars on it, but never got any results. And after World War II, they started building it was called the Avro car. And basically the Avro car was a hovering car that used the Project Winter Haven experiments and all of that from Thomas Townsend Brown. So basically what it did was it would energize the saucer-based craft with electricity, and the electricity would push off causing an it's not really anti-gravity, but it's what's the word I'm looking for? Electrogravitic. It's electrogravitics. And what it does is the electricity itself helps for the craft to hover. And it makes it lighter and more featherweight. because the whole entire craft itself is being charged with electricity. So they did all these experiments and stuff in the 1950s and the 60s, and actually Project Winter Haven goes back to the 1930s with Thomas Townsend Brown, and they later in the 1940s actually created one of Thomas Townsend Brown's experiments and had success with it, according to the Winter Haven documents. By the way, Thomas Townsend Brown is banned on SEO results. A friend of mine told me that.
Hey, that Winter Haven, what was that operation? Who was running that?
Was the Air Force, the U.S. Air Force, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was the U.S. Air Force. I'm not 100% sure on that. I've got to double check it, but Project Winter Haven was in the 30s and the 40s, and nobody has the documents. But I think me. I'm pretty sure the documents were like deleted off the internet. I have them there in an article, but yeah, the Project Winter Haven documents are very interesting.
Do you think WikiLeaks got rid of that cable, or some nefarious party? Why would that be missing?
The U.S. Are you talking about the U.S. moon base being destroyed by the Soviets?
Well, yeah, you said there were several of them. I'd never heard that. WikiLeaks having a problem.
That's the only cable from WikiLeaks. The Project Winter Haven stuff is all from me. It's all from a source. Is it the B-52 bombers or the B-12s? I forget what it is. One of them uses electrogravitics in the actual aircraft for basically making the wings light featherweight, so the plane itself can move faster. I mean, it's fucking ingenious. I mean,
I have the PDF. I uploaded the PDF in the general chat.
That's not it.
It is. It's a book of Winter Haven.
Yeah, but that's not the file that I have.
Okay, well, this is about.
I have the actual military documents on Project Winter Haven.
Okay. Let me see. It does contain a lot of information about it. Like, if you want to read more about it, it has a lot of stuff in it.
A lot of people don't even fucking know that it exists, man.
It's about Townsend Brown.
Yeah, Thomas Townsend Brown.
Dr. Mason Rose. And the experiments of T. Brown. There's about electromagnetism and electrogravity.
Yeah, electrogravitics.
Biefeld-Brown effect.
Yep. And the funny thing is, there was a scientist who came out in a few years ago, Boyle, Professor Boyle. I can't remember his fucking first name. He was a guy who said he worked at Lockheed Martin, and he came out talking about how electrogravitics works and all of that, and magnetism and all of that fun stuff. And he also showed it in a video, basically taking a pipe and a ball, or I think it was a marble, and putting it through the pipe, and you could see it, how the way that reacts, and it like kind of the opposites, kind of similar to a magnet, and he showed that effect on a video.
Yeah, so we have this. We have kind of like a website for computer technicians. It has a weird name, but in your country. It's called tweakers.net, right? And tweaker is different with meaning in your country. I know that, but in here it's like tweaking with video cards and stuff and that stuff and overclocking them.
Yeah.
We have that forum, and we used to do experiments there, and you could use like an all computer monitor, and has to have like this like a metal plate on a table. You could build a little craft of like little matchsticks. You could make a craft, and you could make this fly by having the computer monitor provide the electricity to this metal plate below it, and it could fly in the sky, and you could make it move incredibly fast through the sky and make these weird movements. And it is just by creating this current through the sky with this little craft. And these are just experiments that you could do yourself.
Yeah. So I'm just going to quickly go through this information because this is like really important stuff. I mean, this is like top secret, I guess. Essentially, in the 1930s, they proposed what was called Project Winter Haven with Thomas Townsend Brown. And, they did the experiment in the 1930s, and years or decades later in the media, in 1992, there was several engineers who leaked to a aviation magazine that this technology was actually called electrogravitics, was actually in production in the B-2 bombers. So it was B-2. It wasn't B-12 or B-52. It was B-2. And in the excerpt from the Aviation Weekly and Space Technology magazine, the scientists and engineers involved confessed that the B-2 electrostatically charges its wings and exhaust systems, which is also known as electrogravitics, and recommended using the technology in civil application use for flying cars. And this is back in 1992. The information that was leaked had come from a small group of former Black Project research scientists and engineers suggesting that the B-2 utilizes anti-gravity technology. And this is in 1992. It's an aviation magazine called Aviation Weekly and Space Technology. I actually have the magazine excerpt, which not a lot of people do. As a result of using electrostatic electricity to charge its wings and exhaust, the craft decreases its weight, allowing it to fly at supersonic speeds, according to the whistleblowers that were discussed it in the magazine. That's AIM's source. Oh, wait, no. I mixed it up. Hard reading and talking on the air for me, apparently. So, as a result of using electrostatic electricity to charge its wings and exhaust, the craft decreases its weight, allowing it to fly at supersonic speeds. According to a whistleblower, who's the same whistleblower that I talked to about all the secret space program stuff, the same guy. That same source explained that Thomas Townsend Brown was a scientist the Air Force worked with for the tech later used in B-2 Lockheed Martin Space Shuttle and the TR-3B Aurora project, also known as the Lockheed Pulsar, which Lockheed Pulsar is the official name of it that everybody calls the Aurora project, or the TR-3B. Basically, it's the flying triangle that everybody sees. And that flying triangle is actually a mothership for drones and other crafts. And I'm not saying like crafts like alien craft. I'm saying military craft. There's some more stuff here. Oh. If there's a video of Thomas Townsend Brown, if I can find it. In the video, it shows his electrogravity vacuum experiments testing the effect at Boxen Labs from 1958 to 1960. The video, which displays a technical breakthrough in early history, has a mere 90,000 views at the time that I wrote this article. There's more here. Hold on. There's there's a couple generals who also spoke out about it as well. I'm trying to find it. In 1953, it said that Brown conducted a massive amount of experiments for the U.S. government, sharing all of his secrets and data he accumulated since he first began in 1921. Brown was able to fly a pair of metal discs around a 50-foot obstacle course tethered to a massive central pole fueled by 150K volts. These 3 feet diameter discs reached speeds of more than 300 miles per hour. This set of experiments became known as the Pearl Harbor demonstration. I didn't even know that existed, like, before anybody ever told me about that. In 1956, a British research company called Aviation Studies International published a classified report on electrogravitics that came to the following conclusion. Electrostatic energy sufficient to produce a Mach 3 fighter is possible with megavolt energies and a K of over 10,000. Let's see. Electrogravitics is commonly associated with the work of Professor Neiffer as well, which actually comes before Thomas Townsend Brown. In 1918, which essentially preceded the experiments and the eventual patents of Thomas Townsend Brown in 1905 to 1985, as well as the 1952 Navy Special Inquiry into the electrogravitics device of Townsend Brown. The 1956 Aviation Studies reports on electrogravitic systems and gravity situations. Brown first began experimenting with X-ray vacuum tubes in 1921 for his experiments. Brown would use a Coolidge tube, one of the first practical tubes used in thermionic emission, the emission of electrons from heated sources. A coiled wire tungsten filament was then used as the tube cathode, an electrode that emits electric current, which produces incandescence or light. Brown found that this Coolidge tube mass appeared to decrease when the electrodes were facing up and it tended to increase when it was facing.
We had a network hiccup. I don't know if anybody got the last 20 seconds about it. We had a network. I had a network hiccup. It's starting to resolve itself. My bad. Go ahead.
Interesting.
It's still bouncing around.
Brown had a.
Shit, what is going on here?
I'm saying bad information.
No. I'm on a mesh network, and it's stable now. I don't know. Maybe one of the devices was updating, and it had to reroute traffic. It seems fine now.
Brown published "How I Control Gravitation" in Science and Invention magazine, where he reported that the eventuality of his tech would create exponential propulsion for the ocean liners of the future. And that's not the only evidence that I was linked to. It turns out that a retired Air Force Colonel, Donald Ware, who was a 3-star general, revealed that Lockheed Martin Space Shuttle MB-2 stealth bomber both have electrogravitic systems on board. That's a quote. And he said that this explains why the 21 Northrop B-2s cost $1 billion each. Ware further added that after conventional takeoff, the B-2s can switch to anti-gravity mode and fly around the world without refueling, according to electrogravitics validating reports on new propulsion methodology, a book by Thomas Malone. The book further details other testimonial accounts, and while watching Good Day New York on Fox Channel 5, March 26, 1999, there was a further segment called Crisis in Kosovo, where a guest, Cliff Bragdon, claimed to be a military and defense expert, accidentally leaked on TV that the stealth B-2 bomber uses anti-gravity technology. Further corroboration comes from Dr. Stephen Greer, who wrote about the testimony of a doctor known only as Dr. B in his book, Disclosure: Military Government Witnesses Reveal the Greatest Secrets in Modern History. In the book, filled with testimonies of former government officials, Dr. B tells the other end of the tale of the aviation magazine leak, stating that he knew one of the writers, Mark McCandish. So Dr. B is part of the leak. Just put that out there. Dr. B states in his testimony to Greer, he was contracted to build a better solution to cut down on wind resistance of jetliners. The mysterious Dr. B adds that he came up with a schematic for the design, but it was never used, with the excuse the project was too complicated. However, little did Dr. B know at the time that he had just designed a mirror of the classified electrogravitics technology used in the front edge of the B-2 bomber developed at Skunk Works, a fact which was made known to Dr. B by Mick Candish. A ex-NASA mission specialist publicly made a similar claim about the wings and the exhaust of the B-2 being electrostatically charged in the 1990s. His name was Bob O'Chesler. Now, again, I cite all these fucking claims, and this is why the military-industrial complex does not like me. Further, going into that, the TR-3B was disclosed by former contractors with the Department of Defense engineer Edgar Fouché in the 1990s. Although there's much more to the TR-3B craft than just utilizing a technology that leaves the craft somewhat weightless. While it's said that the TR-3B is a conspiracy theory, the craft actually exists and is known inside as the Aurora Project. Is known outside as the Aurora Project and inside as the Lockheed Pulsar. Fouché claimed years ago that the TR-3B was a mothership for the SR-71, and that the SR-71 had been developed in secret by the NSA in combination with the U.S. Air Force and had been flying since at least the 1980s. And he further said that the TR-3Bs house SR-74s as well. Yeah, I mean, there's so much evidence here. I could keep going, but yeah. So, if you have time, look up Thomas Townsend Brown, because he's the Nikola Tesla of anti-gravity. And he's a scientist that's very much well hidden within our history. And here's the document.
He get murdered by one of Donald Trump's relatives, too. You know that story, right?
No. There's a document, Project Winter Haven, PDF.
Sweet. That Trump's uncle was Tesla's research assistant.
Yeah. This one is actually from the Townsend Brown Foundation. That's interesting.
What is?
Document you're posting.
It's from it's the Project Winter Haven document that the military. Yeah.
Okay, good. I saved it. Interesting, it has these patterns in it.
Yep. I told you, that's the holy grail, man.
Yeah, it is. Because those patterns can be searched. Those are searchable, right?
Well, yeah. It's very hard to find any of this information. That's all I got to say. Legitimate information, we'll put it that way. on this topic, you know how the NSA and the CIA basically use the internet for disinformation purposes, and will co-op many of these topics and put disinformation on the internet, and that's a real thing. I mean, if anybody doesn't think so, I mean,
Of course, of course. In that list, in that document, it says there's only the last one is classified, the buoyant cable assigned to the U.S. Navy.
yeah, I don't have any more documents. I only have that.
So that is the 5th patent, buoyant cable. It's classified. Not sure if it's still classified though. It's 1938 or something, that document.
Yeah, I mean, Israel now has flying cars. I don't know if anybody realized that.
What?
Yeah.
Well, you mean those? Oh, you mean those? They've been using them in. They were experimenting in Dubai.
Yeah.
They're like drones, and they. From what I hear, they haven't like perfected the technology yet. You know, they're not like super safe.
So I found the first patent already.
I just know that they now have it, and the Air Force is also about to replace the V-22, and I'm pretty sure they're just going to disclose, hey, we have anti-gravity technology.
That's maybe, I don't know. Wouldn't even know where to start with that.
They disclose.
Unless you're going off of like Bob Lazar's stuff, where, with unantonium or muscovium.
No, I'm going off of electric gravitics and basically electrically charging the wings and exhaust to cause an effect where essentially the craft becomes weightless. So it's not really anti-gravity. It's more so I don't know what the term would be for it.
Yeah, because the only way I know how to do, the anti-gravity stuff is like with superconductors and really cold temperatures. When they were, did you ever see the hoverboard that they made? And they made a ramp and everything, but it was like under specific conditions that it was able to function. So I don't know. I have to see the plans to see how this worked. So that's kind of interesting to me.
Hey, so I already have 3 of these patents, AK, and they're all by Townsend.
Yeah.
And the first one is actually interesting. It's a method for self-driving cars and stuff. 1927. Imagine self-driving machines in 1927.
That's crazy. They still haven't perfected technology. I don't really know if self-driving cars will ever be successful, to be honest. They've tried it so many times.
Miss me with the self-driving car. I don't want anywhere near a self-driving car. No.
Well, there's like, you can't put enough sensors. If you're using an electric vehicle, I guess that there's less moving parts, but a human can detect, minor problems, that the computer can't figure out. And not only that, like if you have like one error, right, in some of the software, you're gonna like drive into a fucking wall. And not only that, like there's a lot of unpredictable drivers. Like they do fucking crazy shit. So like, how is the computer gonna react to an irrational traffic movement?
Hey, okay, I had a document from 1938, right? And it had a buoyant cable patent in it, and it was classified from 38. And it is submitted in 2006 by U.S. Navy as a public patent.
Really?
Yeah. I found the patent on Google.
So they did declassify the patent, and it was publicly patented in 2006.
Yeah, that is what is it? 68 years later, something like that. Yeah, 68
Wow.
years.
What's interesting about that is that that's for submarines. That's not for aircrafts. But yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. The other three, I was able to find these three other patents. So yeah, those are all legit. They're all assigned to that person who that Townsend guy who's in the.
Yeah, it's just really, honestly, it's just really hard to find because Thomas Townsend Brown, like, if you go to Google his name, you get, like, a lot of disinformation, and you also get sometimes you won't get certain results. So if you use another search engine to look for it, you'll get more things about Thomas Townsend Brown. And like I said, my friend showed me that they're literally blacklisting his name from SEO.
Really?
Yeah, try to do it. Look it up.
What's his name again?
Thomas Townsend Brown.
It's a weird name.
I had it somewhere on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it.
Got it. Something popped up. He died in 1985? No, that's
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Electrohydrogen. Ionic wind. Ionic propulsion lifters. Huh. That's crazy.
Look at this. I just found it. Yeah. A friend pointed out that Thomas Townsend Brown is censored from Google Analytics.
I found it. There's a whole Wikipedia article. It's pretty big too.
Found what?
Whole Wikipedia page about him.
Oh yeah, you'll find a page about him and everything. But I mean, regardless, it's still like buried information.
Oh, here's some plans actually.
Well, it also sometimes gets suppressed when there's like a lot of searches for it. Like, it's a real-time system, right? And they can just like suppress search results, and then when there's no searches for it, like a week later, it suddenly works or something.
So it's pretty by creating ions using electricity.
Like if a big mainstream article mentions something in relation to it, then maybe they suddenly suppress it. And then when it calms down, they open it up again, something like that.
Or just my article that I wrote, and yeah. that article, by the way, it was picked up by like hundreds of blogs. I mean, it's not something tiny. It's like I'm pretty sure Zero Hedge picked that up too.
Used to pick up a lot from you, and also David Icke also used to pick up from you.
Yeah, facts.
If you're using massive amounts of electricity like that, wouldn't you start creating like ozone as well? I think you would.
Yeah, ozone is
it'll be poison. Yeah, it'll be toxic.
Yeah, there was one danger of it. I was like,
I was gonna say this is not entirely safe.
No, we're doing this from. I'm glad you actually mentioned that. I wanted to say that too. We were doing this from that forum, and all these people were saying like, yeah, but you can't do it too much because there's ozone coming free and stuff, and you could actually like die and stuff. You can get really sick. Yeah. But you can get a it's an interesting experiment. So.
Yeah, they have those like fancy like fans that use something like that, where it's using electricity to create wind using ions. But when you start like cranking up the electricity, you start creating ozone.
Yeah, you're essentially moving electricity through the air, and that causes the ozone to get free. No, it's
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I have no idea. I make no claims on how the fuck it works, but how it was described was basically the electricity is going through the exhaust and the wings, and it makes the craft essentially weightless.
Yeah, well, so that little video I posted, if you see how fast it moves through the sky, like you can check it at about 12 minutes.
Where did you post the video?
Here in the chat.
Oh,
That's
it's still flying?
Do-it-yourself lifter or ionocraft. It's by ionizing
Wouldn't it would have to be super light.
It has to be super light, yeah.
Yeah, but they, using an exhaust system plus the wings, I mean, they can make it into a actual craft. It doesn't have to be what is that, like aluminum with matches.
Notice it is a triangle, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, you can do stuff like that that's light, but to carry metal and wings and stuff like that, and plus a body.
Well, that's the thing, though. The B2s, they would only have the body weight. They wouldn't have the actual wing weight and the exhaust and the engine weight, because it would be the whole entire plane is being electrostatically charged.
Yeah, what I found interesting with these lifters was the movement speed. Like, even though you're doing it like above a table, it's like
this
in
is
less
so
second.
sketchy. This guy's contraption reminds me of Electro Boom. Like, this is not
Yeah,
safe. This is not
it's not
safe
safe,
at all.
right?
What he's doing. There's wires
What?
everywhere.
The wires are actually to steer the thing, not to actually fly it, by the way. But he's doing it with wires, but we had like a metal plate below it. He's doing it with wire.
Lift, but he's using massive amounts of electricity.
Yeah, massive. Yeah, you can.
He has his own little
kill
transformer too.
But what I noticed is, like, you could make it move in less than a second, like to the other side of the table, like so fast. Like there was no delay in it, the speed. It was like a super light craft. It was kind of like what you see in the old UFO video stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I mean. Like, it could be all technology they have already for a long time, right? Like, if most of these crafts you see could be actually like military stuff that they're just not sharing. Like, yeah.
You've heard of like ion thrust engines and stuff like that. Those are kind of cool. Those are the ones they use on like satellites and stuff for deep space probes. They can actually run for quite a long time, but they're slow as fuck. But if you let them run for about a year or so, they can get really fast. Yeah.
Floyd Bushman.
Ion propulsion, not anti-gravity. Yeah. It wouldn't
Someone
work
asked,
in space.
what are paramagnetic salts, Tyler?
Huh?
Paramagnetic salts. Someone asked in the chat.
I don't know. I don't know everything.
I don't know either.
Well, it doesn't even, it's either magnetic or it's not magnetic. I mean, para would be kinda, I guess it'd be like a semiconductor.
Yeah, this thing would-
It says paramagnetic salts generally contain transition metal ions that have at least one unpaired electron in their electron configuration.
Oh. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Dina?
But I'm not familiar with that. That's okay.
I mean, I know the guy who knows about like all the cell salts and shit like that, but I don't think he gets into. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'll ask. I'm gonna have him on soon anyway.
Metals weakly attracted to magnets.
I thought it was only ferrous material. Maybe not. Magnesium. What the fuck? I don't know. Now I'm going down this weird search hole where I'm just like not even paying attention to the show. You know?
That's what happens.
Yeah. Where'd AK go? He like disappeared.
I heard he was tired. That's,
Maybe his like hard drive like really crashed.
Oh,
Oh. Last time his computer was freaking out too.
And he just bought that thing.
Yeah, you don't know what he does with it.
Well, I mean, you know, they constantly have like firmware updates and stuff. That's like the downside of you know, running Linux as your primary. You're not gonna have all the I guess you could. I mean, if you could weasel around it, but yeah, there might have been some like defects. That sounds like it overheated and like the fan didn't engage, so which is not good.
You know, it's always start down and put it on something stable, like on a table or whatever, and don't use it like on your bed and things.
Yeah.
oh, you know what? You know, on a lot of these new ones is they don't have enough gap on the bottom for the airflow.
Yeah, they
They got these
don't.
little tiny little rubber fucking pads, and it ain't enough.
Yeah, then you get this like extremely hot base on the bottom.
And you sacrifice a lot for making things compact and stuff. And
Yeah. I don't know if it's that new. I would actually see if the warranty is still good. Bring it back.
the house is beautiful, though, Steve.
I wanted. It looks so much fun to try to do that with siding. It's just siding and wood.
Reminds me of these street paintings. You know what I mean? Like these weird street paintings. That
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, those things are awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely a lot of work. It is. That's why you don't. That's why you bid it time and material, not by the job.
Yeah, and then I mean, he did all that work, and then he didn't paint the white above it. He got bare wood. You know.
I would imagine that's in progress. I don't know.
Who the hell did that?
I don't
That is
know.
so crazy. Oh my god.
Well, and yeah, it's bad. It's bad because now you got to paint the top over, and you're gonna have all kinds of spray come in below. You did it the wrong order.
I've never seen that anywhere. That is so crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's awesome.
Here's what it reminds me
Yeah,
of.
it's carpenter porn. Yeah,
shit.
dude, that stuff is just wild.
oh,
Yeah.
oh.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is that computer graphics? It has to be.
This one.
That stuff is so freaking impressive, man. I cannot draw for shit. And the fact that somebody can do that on asphalt makes me like just awestruck.
Now it's tired. It's
That's an
actually really painted.
incredible fucking. That's an incredible fucking gift right there,
Yeah, that's like good Photoshop skills.
right?
No, that's probably painted though.
But these are actually real paintings now. They're on the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, that's street art.
Oh, this is on the
Yeah.
street?
And
yeah.
these people actually make this on the street. These weird paintings.
Oh wow. I thought that this was all like
Oh, cave lagoon.
I'll show you
No,
another
that's
one.
street art.
Yeah, but like I'm just looking at what they drew.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Look, Tyler, this
Wish
is a
I
little.
could
This one is a
draw.
little smaller.
Oh, that's crazy.
I love those ones.
Somebody's looking in to see if it's even real. I would do the same thing. That looks so fucking real. Not like
I would
super
like
real, but
jump.
like okay, what's happening here?
I would like jump over it and be like, parkour.
These
That is
large
so
ones,
cool.
they must take like weeks or whatever to make, right?
To do something like that, yeah. Oh yeah, the detail and getting that true black, that's kind of hard.
That one is beautiful too, definitely.
Yeah, I've seen stuff like that though. Yeah, but not like the other art. That's crazy.
See how powerful art is, right?
Yeah.
We need more of that too in activism.
Oh
More
yeah.
art.
I mean, I'd try, but I can't fucking draw.
Right.
You can make memes.
Yeah, I can. I do make memes, but you know, street art. That's cool too.
We got to start making memes for the show, Jones.
Okay.
You can't. We should have been. I should have been doing that the whole time. You fucking never think about it.
I have something for you guys, by the
We
way.
have that one we have one I made. That's the We Live in a Fucking Cartoon one.
It's true. Somebody else made one with it was Lisa Simpson standing in front of the screen.
Oh yeah, I
We
saw
live in a
that one
fucking
too.
cartoon. Yeah.
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 Used
And those
SpongeBob
and our
reference for my
cartoons
meme.
are almost done. Ah,
Oh.
yours looks so fucking rad, dude.
Oh. It's just weird seeing your face in
It's
like a
hella weird, dude. It's weird for
cartoon.
the first. It's weird for the first few times, and then you're kind of like, "Fucking hey, that's awesome."
I mean, like I like it. I can clearly tell that like he put some like expert penmanship into it and stuff. But like it's the fact that it's my face.
What?
Guys, I have something for you too, by the way. You have to. I forgot about it. This is for tomorrow for us Avatar.
Oh, okay.
Put it in the general chat.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. So yeah, the Biden administration, or the Biden DOJ is still pursuing the extradition.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, WikiLeaks was censored on Facebook. I heard from one of our guests. They were posting the Khashoggi stuff, right? And then they had like a 5-day ban.
That's awesome, Mark.
He made it. He just sent it.
Yeah. I'm gonna go make that my flipping image right meow.
I still remember watching, what was it? Was it that at CNN when they were saying the going to WikiLeaks is illegal, all the information there is stolen, and I was like, okay, like what looking at a website is illegal? Do you remember that?
Oh, when Chris Cuomo said
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, I was like, I think, I think it was him.
he
Yeah,
he said trust CNN. to look at it for you and tell you what's going on.
We're gatekeepers looking after you.
Yeah, right. I don't really know what's going to happen with this case. Like there has to be a statute of limitations on how long they can pursue the extradition. I mean, unless they have like no real law preventing a certain thing or certain time. But like, this is starting to get ridiculous. Like it's just going to be a kangaroo court, you know. And then the crimes that they're accusing him of, or he didn't do.
Well, the UK's losing a lot of credibility with how they're treating people on COVID and free speech and all the rest right now. I mean, they got a bunch of problems.
Yeah, they denied him bail too because they said he was a flight risk.
They can't even follow their own law.
Yeah. I remember, back in 2012, WikiLeaks was so huge, and now the fan base is just kind of dwindled over the years. I know there's still a bunch of diehards, that are still doing it, but there's been so much over the past couple of years disinformation campaigns to try and make WikiLeaks look bad, and Julian too. Like, Mark, remember when we were posting that stuff about Julian Assange, and then all these people who we didn't know were just attacking the posts?
Yeah.
Yeah. They have like
They were
groups that
really-
actually go after like anybody posting against Julian Assange. It's very bizarre.
I think Steve had that problem too. Like, what started to notice is that like any post that got like maybe like 100 retweets or something, they started jumping on it.
Yeah, they all called us. Remember, they called us communists. So I started writing in Russian, and then one of the guys started blocking me.
Yeah, well, WikiLeaks exposed a lot about Russia too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
But they said like they call you Israeli SEALs, but WikiLeaks exposed a lot about Israel too. Like,
Yeah, Russian spy files. Yeah, they call you like shills for authoritarian dictators when Assange exposed them too. Like, do you not understand the vast trove of documents in WikiLeaks?
yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was Interpol asking for Assange arrest in 2010, and two members of Interpol are the USA and Russia. But Russia was also behind trying to get him arrested.
Could he have stayed in any of the Shrogan countries? No, they would have. They have power there too. Yeah.
Well, Interpol is 96 countries, so you would have
Yeah. So there's not a lot of places to go. I mean, you only have like 100 other countries.
about 100 other places to go. Yeah.
None of them are in Europe.
No. Yeah, these smaller islands and stuff, but yeah, then it's hard to find an embassy of such. If you were traveling already to the UK for other stuff, and then suddenly you get Sweden or whatever, or the USA targeting you, you have to find an embassy, and in this case was Ecuador. Yeah, you have to find a place.
Then-
You don't, yeah.
Yeah. Then they changed power, and the new guy is just an asshole. Remember, he's got citizenship in Ecuador too.
Well, he was supposed to. Yeah, once you're granted these things, it's not supposed to be revocable. You granted it to him. He's now a citizen, so stick with it. But even Ecuador couldn't do that.
They were trying to get him
powerful.
politician status so that he could have diplomatic immunity. I remember that.
Yeah, but that's all colonial powers showing their power again. I mean, Spain obviously still has control over the Ecuadorian government in that sense. And it was like this big relief thing going on. like a donation from $500 million or something to the Ecuadorian regime, or a loan from the IMF.
Yeah, look, I
But
mean, but what's the other guy? He's having problems. The programmer,
the problem for Assange
Beanie.
started when
Yeah, Beanie. Oh, he's having
before us.
problems.
Yeah, before Assange started, when he started speaking out for Catalonia, and the Spanish started to block his internet and stuff, and started spying with the stupid UC Global crew. Like this is the Spanish Blackwater UC Global, but they all look like these like 1980s American war movie types.
He's literally been incarcerated for almost 10 years. This is insane.
So, in a week, we find out for sure whether or not the defense is going to counter appeal. And then the 29th of March, there's another hearing set. And that will determine whether or not the appeal that the U.S. filed had merit. If it does, that will go to a panel of magistrates. If the counter appeal goes through, then that will go before the council of, or the group of magistrates, whatever it is, 3 of them. And we're off to the races in terms of argumentation. At that point, they would set a court date, and we would go from there. At which point, both the appeal and counter appeal, or just the counter appeal, or hopefully, will be heard. And at this point, man, we've talked about this a little bit before, but I don't think we've had as many people on the panel. And I would like to get you guys' opinions on the counter appeal. But before I even give mine, because I've already given mine on the show.
Well, I think it's ridiculous that they're even going this far. The claims that the crimes that they claimed he's done are not, he didn't do, and this is really an assault on journalism, to be honest, to cover up their mistakes.
Yeah, he's the canary in the coal mine. This is the start of it.
Yeah.
That's why also so many are on the front lines fighting against it. I mean, the South community is pretty big already.
And when he gets out, if he gets out, where can he go? Because they can try this again in another country.
Not get in any country that has been involved. Not in the U.S., not in Russia, not in Sweden.
Australia. Yeah, not Australia.
No.
Where could he go?
So Sarah Wagner in the chat just said, interesting thought. Can Mexico grant citizenship and nominate him as some kind of consulate position? And I just replied, but I mean, in the denial of bail, Beratzer cited AMLO coming forward the day before and offering asylum as like her main reason for why it wasn't going to happen. Why he represented such a massive flight risk, and then went on to go through like the stuff that we all remember from a decade ago. And just picked apart the concept of him, or hammered home the concept of him being offered asylum somewhere was exactly why they could not give him bail. I mean, it's shitty because it also deters the defense from reapplying for bail at any point throughout the appeal process, which is killing Julian. which ultimately is what the Five Eyes nations want.
I think so too.
He could go to some of the stands and be okay, but it's not an ideal place to be.
Yeah, but they know what they're dealing with, right? I mean, Julian Assange was not to be underestimated. He was a very intelligent, still is a very intelligent guy, and he went through these documents like extremely fast, with help from a few other journalists. But they know exactly that he's very capable of defending himself. So the priority for them is like to literally like reduce his intelligence, right? Put him under constant stress and very bad circumstances and psychological torture. So, and I have some doubts about his legal team at this point too. I shouldn't have it, but I have it. And I think yeah, the goal is to actually make him as weak as possible. But maybe Steve is right too, that they might actually want to kill him in the long run. Yeah. You can't even make him a martyr, so you have to make him weak first and discredit him enough so he can't be a martyr.
So what's the legal team doing wrong?
I think they make these very weird mistakes that I would not have done.
Huh.
The focus on just his illness, maybe that is on purpose, knowing that they would lose, that the judge would be biased and in favor of the USA, and that they focus on his illness, knowing that that's the only way to get him out of it. I think that was a big mistake because press freedom is at risk, and not just Julian. And a second,
I'm not sure I agree with that. Bloopers, they hammered home all of the press freedom stuff during the witness testimony.
Yeah.
I mean, there were people that fucking the first time that they made Mega Brain cry. What was Trevor Tim from the Freedom of the Press Foundation, where he eviscerated the idea that WikiLeaks wasn't a journalistic outlet and Julian Assange wasn't a journalist or publisher. And he destroyed the didn't redact argument like completely on his own.
Well, and they brought in Carrie Shankman to explain like the whole history of the Espionage Act, and again, absolutely obliterate Claire Dobbins to the point where he was literally going, "Oh, I'm so glad you asked that."
Right.
So, yeah, the prosecution was eviscerated. The clown show prosecution was eviscerated on like multiple fronts, and like they put up the case for press freedom, and just because it was because of Julian's mental health that extradition was denied, I don't think it necessarily takes ground away from the other arguments presented by the defense.
and the second part,
As dangerous, yeah, ultimately the decision is still incredibly dangerous because of that very fact, though.
and no, I agree. I mean, it just a different observation maybe, and I should maybe not have skeptical.
About the first part of the hearings back in February, there were some disappointing moments in that one, and there were a couple. And it's not like the month in September, early October went without hiccups for the legal team, or there wasn't stuff that you could armchair quarterback a little bit different. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't even know how UK extradition law works. The way that I've heard it, so take that for whatever the fuck you want to, was that Julian's legal team was prepared to hear that they were going to have to appeal this entirely. The denial of extradition, even for mental health reasons, and ultimately the condition of U.S. prisons.
That worked for a few other guys. Gary
for Lori Love,
and the
Yeah.
autistic hacker. what was his name? Gary.
Gary
Gary.
McKinnon.
Yeah, the Pentagon hacker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for him as well.
Oh,
So
right, but there wasn't the massive press freedom implications that there are hanging over with the everyone's head with Julian's case, and there's not the criminalization of source protection and investigative journalism, or the criminalization of receiving or sharing classification material.
what
The
Gary did,
it's
Gary did was worse. Was a lot more. He got into the Pentagon's systems and was looking at classified material. I mean,
Yeah.
it was 10 times much worse than what they're accusing Julian of, and they want to give him more time.
They want to give them more time because they need to criminalize source protection. They need to end investigative journalism. The U.S. wants international jurisdiction over the press, and other despots and dictators and authoritarian regimes are salivating over the idea of being able to kidnap and torture and imprison journalists who expose their crimes.
Yeah, because
West
then all
won't
they have.
fucking thing about it because they're doing it.
Yeah. Like, because in the moment that there's any remote pushback from anyone in the West, they can just go, oh, you have no grounds to speak with the treatment of Julian Assange. Like, you're mad at me torturing a journalist? Why don't you be mad at your own government torturing Julian Assange and such
Yeah.
and such? And all of that. Like, bro, if I'm an authoritarian shithead, I'm like doing that fucking like, yes sir, I'm biting my lip and everything, like, hey yo, I'm about to go in on these Western people. Like, shit, it's gonna get worse, and it is getting worse. Like, the arrests of journalists covering protests within the United States has gone up in the past year here. You know, one of the hot spots being the wonderful Blue County surveillance haven, Los Angeles. So
Hey, so in the second thing I want to mention, okay, but about that the whole emphasis on other things with this case, like we had the British Queen writing this letter that she couldn't interfere with the trial because it was a political trial, and the royal family doesn't interfere with politics, she said, and
Yeah.
Julian Assange was a political case. So there,
Yeah.
the defense had
you're a
all the
fucking
evidence.
queen.
Yeah, but there the defense had all the evidence that it is a political case, and there is an exception in extradition law for political
Do
case.
you? So the UK court wasn't trying him under that they weren't trying him under that law. They were trying him under a domestic law, which absolutely allows for extradition for that. But even still, I don't think they could have introduced it during the hearing. It's possible and likely that they'll introduce it on appeal. I think that this because if you okay, so they're counter appealing. One of the things in the case was where Baratzer ruled during her decision was specifically citing that this was not a political extradition.
But the Queen said it was. But the Queen said it was, and domestic law is
Exactly.
true.
So on counter appeal with a different magistrate, with a different judge, the legal team can now go, for fuck's sake, look, the Queen said, here it is in print.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way they could have done that with Baratzer.
Yeah.
None.
Queen.
None.
You're queen.
Yeah, but okay. So about that domestic law part, real quick, you said it does allow for extradition. Yeah, that's true. But the UK did sign the European Human Rights Council thing, but they're still part of, and that does have the exception for political prisoners. And after 2 years after signing it, it gets ratified in domestic law with them. Unless they break their agreement with the European Human Rights Council, they should abide by it. To be honest.
Doesn't it have to go to the Court of Human Rights
Eventually,
in order
yeah.
to?
Yeah. So
Okay.
if the defense would lose it in this appeal too, and maybe there's like even an appeal after that, and they would lose again, they would have to go to the European Court of Justice, I think. That's what I think.
So I mean, and I look, man, I understand, I do, but what it sounds like you're saying is that the political prisoner argument, it isn't a valid part of the defense until it gets to the Court of Human Rights, or is it something that they can introduce on appeal to
I think they should already
the
do
next
it.
judge or set of judges?
I think they should have done it from the start. And
with
knowing
Vanessa Baratzer.
that knowing that Vanessa Baratzer knows that the UK ratified this and that at a higher court it will be used, and that she already has to abide by it. Like, yeah.
Baratzer was following orders, though, man. I guess she was the junior magistrate on that. She was just sitting in the courtroom. It was Arbuthnot and a couple other magistrates that were running the show there. She just got to walk in with the paperwork and fucking look like, I don't know, some sort of like gothic death merchant. If I did with somebody with the conflicts of interest of Lady Arbuthnot. Yeah, I understand that he probably doesn't want to run afoul of the Queen or the royals in general, given her title and station and all that shit. But there's no way in fuck that somebody as corrupt and conflicted as Arbuthnot was going to pay attention to any of that. You heard her decision, man. When she read that off, when she read it down, it sounded like she was in an entirely different room for the entire month of witness testimony up until the mental health portion of it took place. And then she showed up for those couple of days and then immediately turned back out as soon as they like brought in Chomsky or the UC Global guys or whatever, because the statements that she made about each charge sounded like they had been written the day that the superseding indictment showed up.
Guys, we have 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's fair.
2 minutes.
Okay, and then one little thing real quick, I mentioned it yesterday, and that is that I think the defense should, except for just bail, also ask for an alternative, that's house arrest, right? Just push that.
Well, it seems like a good, I mean, you know, an ace defense attorney would hit you with everything. I mean, he would come up with every excuse that you could possibly use to get out, not just a couple. I mean, I do see that in trials. It's like, they're very... Some of these lawyers have blinders on. They seem to.
Spay and neuter your pets and politicians.
That's right.
All right, and we'll roll out with the credits.
Hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly.